Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, for the next session, we are pleased to invite Honorable Chairman of the Third ICOLIST 2020 to deliver event report to Dr. Vivi Novianti, MSI. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. First and foremost, it is my great pleasure to welcome all of our distinguished forum speakers, presenters, and participants to the third International Conference on Life Sciences and Technology, ICOLIST 2020. In particular, I would like to extend my gratitude to our keynote speakers. We have Associate Professor Dr. Chen Xiang-eng from National Tsinghua University, Taiwan, Dr. Askari Suksuan from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand, Dr. Khairun Natwa Binti Jemon from University Teknologi Malaysia, and of course, we have Professor Dr. Muhammad Amin from Universitas Negeri Malang. And also, my gratitude goes to all our respected invited speakers and co-hosts. Ladies and gentlemen, the third ICOLIST is an ongoing effort by the Biology Department, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, starting from the first ICOLIST in 2018. And regarding the world is in the midst of pandemic due to coronavirus outbreak, we truly believe this situation does not stop us to continue working. Therefore, according to the step taken throughout the world to be approved by the COVID-19 pandemic, the third ICOLIST is carried out in virtual conference. I would like to take this opportunity to report some formal information related to this conference. The committee has already accepted 258 abstracts, and we are very happy for that and thankful for all participants to make this event possible. And we distributed them in 13 main topics. The submitted papers are coming from 5 countries. We have Malaysia, we have Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, and India. This conference, including 4 plenary sessions, 21 parallel sessions, and we have 33 poster presenters. And last but not least, I hope this conference will increase research collaboration between institutions involved. And I would like to express my blessed gratitude to our university management and our sponsor, GeneCraft, for support this conference. And also a heartfelt wish to all the committee involved. Without you, it won't be a reality. So ladies and gentlemen, representing the organizer, I proudly welcome all of you to the third International Conference on Life Sciences and Technology, ICOLIST 2020. I wish you in the name of ICOLIST a successful and enlightening conference. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Vivi for the report. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to listen to the welcome delivered by the Rector of Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Dr. Ahmad Rafiuddin MPD, as well as officially open the third International Conference on Life Sciences and Technology 2020. To Professor Dr. Ahmad Rafiuddin MPD, time is yours.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
In the name of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and all praise belongs to Him who is blessing us today to attend this important international conference. He is Chairman and committee member of Third International Conference on Life Science and Technology, ICOLIST 2020. Respectable keynote speakers, presenters, and participants of this conference. All the pleasure is mine to welcome all of you to Universitas Negeri Malang, the learning university with a value on tradition, integrity, continuity, and innovation. It is an honor to host the ICOLIST 2020 as it provides opportunity for researchers, experts, scholars, and policymakers to share ideas on hot issues and trending topic in life science and technology. The Ecolist 2020 also aim to facilitate research publication by Indonesian students and scholars in the reputable international journal. It is undoubtful that the crucial step to pave the way for the university to gain international recognition, it must be indexed internationally, entering all field of reputable peer-reviewed publication. Universitas Negeri Malang understand this challenge. We do believe that I-College 2020 can be considered as a potential solution to the aforementioned challenge and therefore make this conference significantly important. Universitas Negeri Malang proactive support and encourage researchers to publish their work in internationally reputed journal. Therefore, I would like to take this occasion to express my appreciation to keynote speakers on the conference, the prominent figures in their field. First, Associate Professor Dr. Cheng Xiang Eng from National Tsinghua University, Taiwan. Dr. Azari Sukuan from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand. Dr. Hairul Nadwa Binti Jimon, University Technology Malaysia, and Professor Dr. Muhammad Amin from Universitas Negeri Malang. My appreciation should also be addressed to all presenter and participants from any university and research institution in Indonesia and some others country that have shared significant contribution to make this event possible. Finally, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I hereby officially open the third International Conference on Life Science and Technology 2020. I wish you are very successful conference. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Thank you to Professor Dr. Ahmad Rafi Udin MPG for the remarkable speech. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, before we are starting plenary session, we will have a photo session. So that please turn on your camera. Our committees will take some photo of us. Okay, well, repeat. I repeat once more, ladies and gentlemen, please turn on your camera because we have the photo session. So that please give your best smile.
Thank you.
Okay, we will take a photo 8 times, so please stay. Turn on your camera. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Keep smile. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm very happy to see your best smile for a while. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, for the next session, which is the first plenary session with Assistant Professor Dr. Chen Xiang-Eng from National Tsinghua University, Taiwan, and Dr. Akari Sukswan from Chulalongkorn University. And we would like to invite the moderator of the session, Mr. Hendra Susanto, MKS PhD, to lead the session. Mr. Hendra Susanto, MKS PhD, is a senior lecturer in biology department. He got his PhD in Changtung University, master's in Brawijaya University, and bachelor in Universitas Negeri Malang. And please welcome Mr. Henda Susanto, MKS PhD. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning to all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the presentation, and in order to avoid any disturbances during the presentation later, I would like to ask all of you to change the mode of your gadget or computer into silent mode, please. Thank you. Uh, His Excellency, the President of Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Dr. Ahmad Rafiuddin MPD, His Excellency, the Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Professor Dr. Hadisyono MSI, respectable the Chair of Biology Department, Dr. Sri Ayu Lestari MSI, the Honorable Keynote Speaker, distinguished guests, participants, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you to the conference on life sciences and technology, I mean ICOLIST 2020, held by the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang. In this occasion, we shall have outstanding presentation from our prominent presenters, whom I believe shall enrich our insight and knowledge regarding the theme of this conference. I am Hendra Susanto as the moderator today for the first plenary session of the third ICOLIST 2020. I am very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this conference. This seminar is conducted by our faculty and supported by several co-hosts and sponsors. This seminar will discuss about the special theme, especially about recent trend in life sciences for local resource development. Before we start the first plenary session begin, allow me to introduce the keynote speaker. Maybe the technician can show me the slide. The first speaker is Assistant Professor Chen Xiang-Eng. And I think all of us we call him Dr. Jin. His current position is lecturer at Institute of Molecular and Cellular Biology and Department of Life Sciences, National Tsinghua University in Hsinchu, Taiwan, Republic of China. He was graduated from his PhD degree at College of Biological Sciences, University of California, Davis, United States, and also he was graduated for Master of Science in Life Science from the same university like today from the National Tsinghua University, and also for his bachelor degree also in the same field in life sciences from National Tsinghua University. I think he has a lot of publication, especially related to the genetic characterization of birds. I mean, and also he's the reviewer of some reputable journal, for instance, like BMC Genomics, +1, scientific report, and etc. I think that's the brief curriculum video of our first keynote speaker in the first plenary session. And the second one, please allow me to introduce the keynote speaker for the first plenary session, Dr. Akhtari Suksuvan. The current position of his work nowadays is the researcher, in the Halal Science Center, Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, Thailand. He was graduated from his bachelor degree at Prince of Songkla University in Thailand, and also for his PhD degree, in particular from the pharmaceutical sciences, also at the same university. From Prince of Songkla University in Thailand. His work experience is, I think, is a lot of experience here from his curriculum vitae, but the most experience related to his work currently is related to the halal center, and he has also got a lot of scholarship award and grant from the government in Thailand. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to our first keynote speaker in the first plenary session. He will deliver the presentation entitled Genomic and Molecular Insight into Evolutionary Innovation of Birth. To Dr. Chin Ang, time is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to thanks for inviting me to give this keynote speech. Today, I would like to introduce some of my work here in Taiwan in National University. So I'm going to talk about the genomics and molecular insight into evolutionary innovation of birth. Okay, so the evolutionary innovation I'm going to talk about is the feather. Okay, so we know the feather could evolve from a very simple structure, keratinized structure, and then they became benches, and rockies evolved, and so it became now the most complex keratinized skin appendages. Okay, so birth is a very, actually we should consider birth as a very special kind of reptiles. They are most closely relative is the crocodile. Okay, so but we know bird doesn't look like crocodile at all, and also we know the ancestor of bird is the feather dinosaur. So why birds became so special is because it was so many interesting features, especially feather, breeze, they can fly. Okay, so I think this using birds we can study a lot of very interesting novelty, evolutionary novelty. All right, so using feather, basically we have one advantage is that we can find various types of feather in different regions of birds. So it gives a lot of advantages. And also we can see sexually dimorphism in feather pattern, and also we can find diversity in their life history. For example, the chicks they had downy feather, and when they became adult, they changed their feather into the contour feathers. Okay, so my research approach is that we use genomics and bioinformatics tools to see like which genomics regions are involved. And also, we use transcriptomic approach, so we study the gene expression among different types of feather. And if we find some candidate genes, we can use a molecular genetics tool to investigate the function of the gene, okay, to investigate if the mutation is involved. So we can clone the gene and put into the retrovirus vector called ICOLIST. This is an avian-specific retrovirus. So they can infect the cells of embryos of the stem or the stem cells in fetal follicle. So you can express the gene we clone into and also express the antisense RNA to knock down the gene expression. Okay, so I will divide my talk into 3 different topics. In topics 1, I'm going to talk about diversity of fetal types in an individuals of bird. And the topic 2, I talk about the diversity among different chicken breeds. In the topic 2, I talk about the fetal diversity or the skin appendageous diversity of birds. Okay, let's look at the topics 1. The diversity of fetal types. Okay, so here I introduce a recent study we did. Okay, so in this study, basically we took different parts of an embryo of chicken. Okay, so the different body parts, some of the body parts will grow feathers, and some of the body part will grow scale. For example, in their legs, they basically grow scale instead of feather. So we can we took these different body region and we extract their RNA. Okay, so we did an RNA sequencing. Okay, using the next generation sequencing technology. And so we can learn that which genes are differentially expressed between the feather and scale. In this study, we can find feather-specific genes, okay, or we call feather-associated genes. So this gene only expressed in the feather but not in the scale, okay. So supposedly, yeah, this should involve into the development of feather. And then we also did an Trick6 study, so we can basically combine the RNA-seq and Trick6 to find which genes are involved. So here we show for 3 examples, for example, SAC2, Gen1, SPLT2. Okay, so this gene only expressed in the feather but not in the scale. Okay, and we also did a functional study, basically clone some genes and overexpress this gene on the leg of chicken embryo. So we learn to learn if their development of scale are affected. Okay, from this picture we can see G and M basically is a positive negative control. So it express GFP. Supposedly the development should not be affected. Okay. So, but if you express, say, it's a SAC2, okay, from B and H, so we can compare the B and H. You can see the scale, so it became like a small dot, okay. It's more like the feather, okay. And C, we can see C and I. So we can see a ridge grow in the scale. Supposedly it's not like it's supposedly the scale should not have this kind of structure. So it seems that the genes are also the gen 1, so supposedly these genes should involve in the pinching of the feather. Okay. And also if you express SPLT2 or SAC18, so you can see the scale grow feather-like structure. Okay. So, and we summarize here in these tables. Basically, we find that some genes that involved in the in developing the feather. Okay, and this gene basically they are not new genes. Okay, that it says that basically we may more also have this gene. So so when the birds that or their ancestral dinosaur they evolve this kind of skin advantageous feather. There's basically recruited some ancestor gene and use them to grow a normal structure. Okay. Let's move on to the topics two. Okay, in these topics, I talk about the study I'm recently doing to investigate the genetic diversity of chicken breeds. Okay, and basically all the chicken breeds they are the descendant of red jungle frog, which can be found we can found in South Asia, say Malaysia, uh, Thailand, Vietnam, and these are countries. Okay, it is tropical country, South Asia country. But they evolve many chicken, different breeds of chicken. Okay, so we would like to learn like some to learn the genetic basis of this mutation. Okay, so many mutations can be found in feather, and these are some examples. So the feather can change their structure, their distribution, and their orientation or color patterns. Okay, when Charles Darwin, when he wrote the Origin of Species, which is the most influential book in the history of biology. Actually, in the chapter one, he used pigeons, which is a domestic bird, as an example to demonstrate the power of selection. Okay, so but now we use chicken as our model. Okay, so this chicken is called the silky chicken. Okay, and actually in Taiwan, Taiwanese eat this chicken a lot. They call it breadbone chicken, guji. Okay, so basically we consume this chicken in wedding ceremony. Okay, so actually many Taiwanese knew this chicken, but they don't know like what they look like when they are alive. Okay, so why we use this as a model is because they have many feather traits. Okay, for example, the crest. Okay, the crest and nerve and silkiness and telepody. Telepody also called feather leg. Okay, so there are three. So these three traits we are very interested in studying them. Okay, for example, the crest. Okay, the and silkiness and telepody. And actually, we found some. Actually, other study found the gene associated with this trait, say the Huxley could be associated with crust, and SOBP could be associated to the silkiness, and PIX1 could be related to the telepody. Okay. And this trait, okay, for example, the feather leg trait had been studied in the pigeon. Okay, some genes have been found. Actually, the PIS1 and TBS1 have been found, but they didn't find the association with PIS1 to the feather leg of chicken. They only found it in the pigeon. Okay, so this yeah, you can see like in this study, they found that the for the PIS1, okay, for the PIX1, we see the expression label in the expression label in the high limb of feather chicken have been reduced. Okay, but in chicken they found that it's not significant. Okay, but a student of mine, two students of mine, they found that in chicken, actually in the feather chicken, actually the expression label have been reduced as well. Okay, as well. And so we look for we want to know that what mutation, and actually it has been mapped and found that it, a deletion, 17 kb deletion could be involved. This has been done by 2 other groups. But we know we want to know that why they got this kind of deletion. So we want to know that if some kind of spatial DNA structure could be involved, because we saw that in the region the region nearby the enhancer of this gene have some kind of unique structure called zDNA, and this kind of unique DNA structure could result in this kind of large scale deletion. Okay, and now we trying to design some experiment to demonstrate it. Okay. And another trace we also interested is called the press. Basically, you can see the elongation of feather in on top of chicken head. Basically, you can see A to D. Basically, they are cluster chicken, and E to H. They are not. Okay, this has been done by another group as well, and also this gene have been a so-called Huxley egg have been meant and shown to be involved, but no functional study has been done yet. Okay, and another feature of this kind of cluster chicken is called hernia hernia. Okay, Sabina hernia. Okay, and this is the you can see the scoop chains. You can see they basically and they have an enlargement of the scoop in front of their scoop. So so we clone this gene. Okay, you can see like especially the Poland chicken have a very unique crested feature. So we did we basically clone this gene, and we cloned the gene and put it into the retrovirus vectors called LCAS, LCAS. This is an avian specific gene, avian specific retrovirus. And so we can basically inject this virus into the embryo, okay, of chicken. Okay, so we can make a hole in on the leg and the eggs of chicken, and basically we inject the virus into the embryos and see if the expression level can change. Okay, and so we basically use a technique called X-ray microtomography. Okay, we call it micro CT. Okay, and we use these techniques to study if the scoop of the chicken can be changed when we did the transgenic experiment. Okay, so so I want to compare the crested chicken with the normal one. Okay, the crested chicken here we used two different we use basically two different chicken, which is, one is the crested one. Okay, the BK versus L2. Okay, and basically you can check, you can see the scoop, the morphology of scoop is changed. Okay, and but if you did the transgenic experiment using the Huxley egg, so overexpressed Huxley egg, so you can see, okay, if we overexpress Huxley egg, you can see the BK versus Huxley egg. The Huxley transgenic scoop more resemble the BK. The BK is the Beijing U chicken, the crested trait. But if we compare the crested chicken with the JP transgenic one, we can see basically the JP transgenic one is more like the normal chicken. Okay, not the crested chicken. Okay. So here we show, okay, and also we can see the scoop is changed when we did the transgenic experiment. Okay, so basically we now analyze more sample to demonstrate this Huxley transgenic chicken. The scoop, the morphology is more like the crested chicken. Okay. Okay, next let's move on to the called silky feather trait. In this kind of feather, basically the hook which we call pernicious region of feather, of contour feather. So a very stable crossband structure cannot be formed. So you can see the feather is more fluffy. Okay, and it's because they make a hook to make the stable crossband structure. And so one study also demonstrated that two genes could be involved, so-called SOBP or PDSS2. Okay, and we believe that SOBP could be involved. Okay, so one of my students called Zhongyi Li, he used he also cloned the gene and tried to do the transgenic experiment. Okay, so here we compare. Okay, we can compare the silky feather to the normal feather. This is a cross section of the feather. So we did histological comparison. Okay, so you can see basically they are morphologically different. Okay, you can see the silky feather and the barbule and the barbule like the basically um, the hook. Okay, so this can you have to look carefully to the bar of this feather structure. Okay, but I think you can see this the subtle difference. Okay, I know if you are not trained uh, to to see the histological sample of this kind of feather because feather is pretty complex. Okay, but okay, but we tried to clone a gene. Okay, we found we want to do a transgenic experiment in the embryo of chicken because it's more convenient. But in embryo of in the chick, okay, of chicken, basically only have noni feather, right? So we cannot do this kind of experiment because this is an adult trait. But we found that actually a study published 2 years ago demonstrating that actually in the five feather or chicks when they grow when they were in the earth, okay, when they were embryos, okay. So we basically in the five feather of chicks they have this kind of structure because it's the kind of contour feather. It's not downy feather, okay. So basically, we use this to do the experiment. Okay, so we did sectioning of the feather. Okay, so this is the five feather of the normal chicken. Okay, and then we clone the gene. We express the PDSS2 and the SOBP and the GFP. Basically, the GFP is a negative control. So the outcast GFP basically is the feather is normal. Okay, you can see. Okay, to compare this, the outcast SOBP, if you overexpress the SOBP, you can see the shape of the bar change. Okay, so basically SOBP could be involved in this trait. Basically, the overexpression of SOBP can disrupt the formation of hook. Okay, so and these are more sample. Basically, you can on top and the B and C they are basically B is the normal feather and C is the silky feather. Okay, so you can see the and in the bottom panel, the A, B, C. Okay, so they are different transgenic SOBP transgenic feather. Okay, or chicks and bill. So you can see the hooks. Basically, the formation of hook are seriously affected. Okay, so basically, we now can demonstrate. Sorry, the A is the normal one, and B is the negative control. But I can see the C. You can see the arrowhead. Okay, of C. The hook is seriously affected, so the hook can be formed. Okay, so basically, SOPP could be involved in this in the essence of the hook in the silky feather. All right, let's move on into the last topic. Basically, I will talk about the diversity of birds. Okay, And one study I've done is to compare the artificial birth and the precocial birth. This has been done in the collaboration of Chiquan Chen, who is now a postdoc in University of Southern California. Okay, and so in this study we found, so we can compare the artificial birth with the precocial one. And basically, for the precocial one, we can see that the precocial one, they basically chicken or ducks or goose, and they are new hatching. Okay, when they hatch from the eggs, okay, their chicks can live independently. They have don't need feather on their body. Okay, they don't need their parents to take care of. But for artificial birth, when they hatch, basically they're helpless. They cannot live independently. They need need intensive parental care. Okay, so we interested in the genetic differences among these two type of thorny feather development. So you can see basically their neck. Okay, their cheeks and neck. Okay, they are only have um, only have few feather on their body region. Okay, so we want to know which molecular pathways is involved. Okay, so we compare two different types of the skin. Okay, we found that. So in the tree sharper whose skin and neck basically their skin are thicker, so we basically think that maybe some kind of make pathway could be involved. Okay, so it's like some kind of the so-called epithelial to mesenchyme pathway could be involved. Okay, EMT. Okay, okay. So we collect their skin region. Okay, so because as I say, in these chicks, okay, of artificial birds, we use the chipa fringe. So they have a few feather on their body region. So we can collect the body region who grow feather and the body region who doesn't grow feathers, and we basically compare the RNA expression, okay, between these two body regions. All right, so we found some gene, and also we studied the expression of the two feather specific markers. One is called beta catenin, which is a marker for the particle. Okay, so when feather need to grow, they grow from the structure called particle. And we also did we studied the expression pattern of Sony hedgehog, which is a marker a gene to promote the growth of feather. Okay, and we saw that in the body region who doesn't grow feather, basically the there's essence of expression of Sony hedgehog, and we found that the two genes called Twister2 and Snail1, basically their expression overexpressed in the body region, okay, in the feather follicle that doesn't grow only feather. And we cloned the genes, a gene called FGF16, and we did SPNA, and we overexpress this in the chicken skin. And we found that basically the feather growth stop, okay. It's not destruction of the whole feather structure, but basically the growth of feather just stop, okay. So we basically functionally demonstrate that this gene is involved. All right, and we basically found that the gene expression. So basically, FGS also make the other FGS16 also make other FGF pathway genes differentially expressed into the between the transgenes and the control chip. Okay, so what we found that this FGS16 is involved. All right. So because of time limit, I just skip some slide. So now we study the called Bogaliga, okay, which is a parrot, okay, from Australia, originated from Australia because they are cheek and neck, okay. So we found that there are two waves of expression, two waves of feather grow on their on their cheek, and we found that it makes the neck, okay. So this is the development of the cheeks of parrot. Okay. So we compare them, and basically this is another example. Okay. Yeah. So this is the gene expression. We compare the beta catenin and sonic as well. Okay. So yeah, this is we found there are two waves of further growth. Basically, one wave that goes faster than another wave. Okay. So all right. So we now still find the genes that involve into suppression of further only further growth and in the cheek of parent. Okay. All right. So lastly, I want to introduce one bird. This is called African secret ibis. Basically, is an invasive bird in Taiwan. So Taiwan government want to eradicate them. Okay, and so to remove them from the wild. Okay, so basically, this is the bird originated from Africa. Okay, yeah. So the green one is their natural distribution. Okay. So it became an invasive bee, but also in some European country too. Okay, so we basically try to remove their egg. Okay. So why we want to use their eggs is because we're interested in some traits, say the beaks. You can see their beaks are huge and curved. Okay. And we're also interested in study how they grow long legs because many vertebrates also have this kind of long legs as well. Okay, yeah. So also we want to interested in studying how they became an invasive species because there is a genetic paradox. Okay, because they only have few individual and how they can they can escape from the inbreeding depression and become a large population. So we're now sequencing a population, so several population of these birds in Taiwan. Okay. Okay. Lastly, let's thanks my collaborator. Okay, and these are their students in my lab. Okay, so thank you for listening my talk, and I hope I can visit Indonesia in the future. Okay, thank you. Right. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thanks for inviting me to give this.
Okay, thank you very much for the interesting topic and presentation from Dr. Jean. Maybe we will jump to the next keynote speaker, and later on I will allow you all of you to discuss something with the presenter. Okay, maybe maybe we will continue the presentation for the second keynote speaker in the first plenary session. Okay. Maybe I will allow Dr. Ashari to join us here and do your presentation in this
Yes,
session,
yes.
please. Yeah, thank you very much. Time is yours.
Thank you. How we share my slide? Okay. Wait a minute. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can. It's already in our screen. You can start your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me, moderator, and thank you again for the Dean of Mathematics and Natural Science, Professor Dr. Hadi Suwano, and also the Chairman of organization, Dr. Vivi Waliti, and also our committee. And thank you very much again for inviting me. I have been in Indonesia many times, last year in Malang. And today I would like to share with you about the using the halal science and technology in halal food industry in Thailand, experience in Thailand. My topic is a little bit different from the other speaker, right? That's okay. And the first one, I would like to have the question that what is the halal? From the Ayah Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, said that Ya ayyuhan nas kulu ma fil ardi halalan tayyiban. This means that halal is lawful and tayyib is good or hygienic, and it's not only for the Muslim but for mankind. But people, even though the Muslim also think that halal is only for the Muslim, so that's why we restrict of our market. And the word from halal for myself, it means halal or lawful for the original of the source. And can you hear me? Yes. Okay. And tayyib is some kind of the safe and a process of production in terms of scientific. And it's myself that I understand. I give you example on how we how our standard halal standard to launch from the principle Islamic principle, and then we can indicate to the scientific background, like Malaysia that leader in the use of special label or mark on the meat product that prepare using the Islamic method. But we have to waiting for almost 20 years for launch the first halal codex guideline for just a halal term, because the people understand that the principle can just like the standard or regulation in the general term. But when we consider the region sector to the science sector, it actually is the same thing, but we always think that it's separately. And in the case of Thailand, we adopt the Codex Halal standard after they launched the first year, and then we have they have their own standard in 2007, and finally we is the observer member to the Standard and Material Institute for Islamic Country. This is the timeline for the halal standard. This is the timeline that integration between the region sector to the scientific sector. Okay, this is the halal literacy in general. So we know that halal is for all. It means not only for the Muslim, but also for all mankind or for the non-Muslim as well. And we will talk later about the halal for all. And one thing we have to clarify that the halal and haram is clear. So if they have something not sure or suspicious, we have to clarify by using the scientific and technology. And also, if we don't know or we have the question, we have to ask the people who know. And if we don't have the person who know very well, we have to exhibit the knowledge. This is also from the Quran. And Islam is very easy, and because Islam have many alternative way to use, like a fatwa. If you like in case of the Darwin and istihala, something like this, but the Muslim make it difficult. And then halal should be right after competitive or benefit to the business as well. But halal is akidah, you know, akidah, not the business, because we have the belief that after akidah we have to responsible for what we have done. So, and then why halal? Because of the economic potential of halal market. As we know, the halal is the way of life. That's cover of the food, beverage, medical, pharmaceutical, cosmetic, and so on. These are tangible, but they also have the intangible, or we cannot see it. It's like a halal taste or brand, style, or culture. Uh, Howard Lee will say that in the future, AI or robotic will is really challenging, but the technology or robotic is not have the culture, but the halal is the culture. So it means that this the price is really priceless. There's the more value. Mm. So this is the picture show you about the iceberg of halal economy. According to the 24 Muslim population in the world, but the only consume in 17. This means that we consume less. But from the global trade atlas 2015 say that almost 89% of the industrial food product that free from pig and spirit. It means that clearly 11% could be haram, but for 89% should is like a Muslim friendly or is can be halal. But we can also consume only 17%. So how we increase the potential of the halal market to reach to 89%. This is important for us, for the also Muslim in your country and also in Thailand. And because of the economy crisis, recession, and also the digital transformation, and in the COVID-19 era, so that make us do this social distancing, and we don't touch each other. So the Highland traceability is the answer, and challenging for us to make a trust for the consumer, and Highland is the answer for this, because if you have the trust in brand, in the logo, so when you use the food delivery, you don't know who sent to you, or the process or delivery in that time that contaminate with the najis, with the haram thing. So if you make the logo or the brand of halal is more trust, so that by back up by science and technology, it means that your product is will still high quality. This is the world will go to the trust economy now. And we have to transform to from the halal logo to the brand, because the brand have the tangible like a trust, confidence, familiarity, or the status. This more than just only the logo. But in the world, they have many of the halal logo. So how we transform to logo to the brand by using scientific backup. So the paradigm shift of halal is halal side. In the former time, we say that it's a local, only the local, but now we have to think about the brand and the target. The first thing we consider the Muslim, but now we have to think that for everyone, for Muslim and non-Muslim, for the bigger market, like from 17 to 95%, and also the competitor. We are only the competitive with each other, like a product that certified from one country to the other, compared to halal certified product with the with the other country like Malaysia, Indonesia. But we have to new version that we have to compare the halal product with the non-certified halal product. That is the new paradigm for us. And then the cost for the halal accreditation should be low to induce the entrepreneur to get the halal certification. And also we have to the process of the production should be precision halalization to make the all of the process is halal. And then in the new era, in digital era, we have to use the IT like a blockchain, like a H number or big data and so on. And how we make the everything is halal. I give you the example of compensation of the food industry that you will know in the case in 2001 Indonesia and also 2009 in the Pakistan. It's the production of the chemical that from the cassava. And if you see that everything is a halal by nature, and we culture with the bacteria, and inside of the culture media, we also use the protein from the plant, but they have some step that use a pancreatic enzyme. So that's why the all food additive in that time should contaminate with the haram. But actually they they have the many step. But the perception of the consumer, Muslim consumer, cannot accept this because the halal is also related to the religion. So that's why they not accept this. And also one case in Europe that it used scabby sheep, they're like a pellet and feed to the cow, and they transform a disease to the human. So if we feeding animal feeding in the natural way, maybe on halal way, maybe we can protect the disease that the transform of the disease from one species to the species. So the halal traceability is really important for us to clarify the halalness of the material of the product. And halal not only start with the raw material, but start from the raw material preparation. Like I said, like I give the example, and until every step, until to the hand of consumer, that we have to check the contamination of haram and najis in every step. We can check by the science technology. This is the build up the infrastructure of halal sphere. The outside of the sphere is a mashbuh or doubtful substance that you not sure is halal or haram. And then, but we have the halal side and technology that's based on the methodology, standardization, testing, and quality management to screen the mashbuh. And then we also have the organization from the government and from the religion sector and also from the scientific sector to make everything in the halal sphere. And we call this process halalization. And we will talk later. So the Muslim want to be in the halal atmosphere, halal sphere like this. So we can use the technology and innovation and IT to help people in halal sphere like this. And in Thailand, is non-Muslim country with the 6% of Muslim and want to be to the halal kitchen of the world. And then we have the two strategy. This is Thailand Diamond Halal that use the concept of Christian halalization and halal for all that developed by the Halal Science Center, Chulalongkorn University, and the Center Islamic Council of Thailand, or ICOLIST. This is the Thailand infrastructure of halal accreditation. They compose of many organizations like accreditation body, certified body, and halal standard institute of Thailand that support academic support in terms of the standard, and also the Halal Science Center that initiated by the Cabinet Resolution 2003 that support the scientific support and web skin and standard and professionalization and also the training and so on, and IT facility as well. This is how we work. This is the administrative structure of Islamic organization in Thailand. In every Mukem they have the masjid, and the masjid have the committee. Committee have to select. Every Muslim have to select the committee of mosque or masjid, and then every masjid have to choose to select the representative of the Islamic Islamic committee of the province. And now today in Thailand they have 40 provinces. And then in each province have to select the Center Islamic Committee of Thailand, and then the Center Islamic have to select the only one Sheikhul Islam. This is the process in Thailand. In the case of Thailand have many provinces, but if the entrepreneur or industry don't have their Islamic committee of province, so the center will take care for the halal accreditation or halal certification. And then Thailand have also the member observer member of the CIMIC since 2017, because of Thailand also have the halal certification and halal accreditation by the scientific backup. So we can help the draft of the halal standard in many terms like a cosmetic and halal supply chain, halal management, and halal food and food additive as well, and in terms of non-Muslim country. So this is useful for the draft or develop the halal standard for around the world. And let's talk about the Halal Science Center. Halal Science Center was recognized as the first Halal Science Center in the world, recognized by the Malaysia. And then the first work that we have done is the consumer protection about the halal, because in Thailand, in non-Muslim country, we feel that we don't safe because we don't know the product is halal or not. That's why Professor Vinay is the first one to use the halal side to protect our Muslim in our Mukim, and now today 17 years for this for our institute. But for halal consumer protection, maybe 30 years ago, from the Professor Vinay. And Halal Science Center design algorithm for traceability from the haram for the halal accreditation. We can separate to 5 process. The first one is the halal accreditation. It's initiated in 1949 by Office of Sheikhul Islam and transferred to SICOT. And if the factory or entrepreneur or SME want to get the halal certification, we go to this way, and the halal certified body from the SICOT will inspect if this all the process is halal or not, and then after that will issue the halal certification. And in the case of they have something that not halal or contamination, Halal Science Center, we have the HALQ. We have the halal standardization of HALQ that we developed from the halal GMP, halal HACCP to implement to the halal industry. And we have 4 steps, and we will talk later. And if they have something in the phase 3 that have something that najis or haram, so we have to check by the halal forensic side laboratory. Like actually we screen with the lab, but before that we will check the document or literature review first. If there's still no answer, so we have to move to the personal interview, because we want to save the lab, we have to save the cost of the entrepreneur. But if still not sure or not halal, so we using the lab screening, like this is the depend on the sample, like lipid, DNA, protein, and so on. But if it's still free from haram, free from the najis, so we have to move to the fatwa. If we have to fatwa, or we have to use this raw material by conditional and fatwa from the ulama, if in the case of the darullah or not, or in the case of is the halal or not. But and then we so this process we call innovation of halal raw material product, and they develop a new product or new raw material until we get the IP registration, and then we get the halal certification. After that, all new raw material that certified halal, so we tabulation to be the halal list. We call H number tabulation. This is the first step for pre certification, halal certification. We separate in three process. The first is pre-halal certification and halal certification and post halal certification. And this for the pre-halal certification. Sorry. Okay. This is the our halal scientific laboratory. We get the ISO to ISO, and then we have the state-of-the-art equipment, more than 200 equipments, and all is Muslim, and women more than men in our institute. And we normally we use for technique for the check the non-halal material and published in the book Handbook of Halal Food Protection, edited by Melias, and also published in some journal in 2020. And this is give you example of the detection. This is the important for the check for the check the halal status is the extraction of the sample, and we will consider that which sample should be detect by different kind of equipment, like a lipid, DNA, and protein. And this is, for example, at the fatty acid product that containing oil and fat, channel oil, milk, or dairy also can analyze by the technique of fatty acid technique. And we also check the fatty acid, and we consider the profile of the plant fatty acid and seafood as well. But if they have the pattern of the pig from the animal, and we will also check that this is a haram or fatty acid from haram animal or not. And also in some case, we also check the animal slaughtering according to Islamic law or not. And this is some equipment and some technique from ourselves and from the papers that can just detect the lipid. And this is the analysis of gelatin or collagen. And we consider that if we don't know that contain the gelatin or not, so we use the food standard analysis. And then we also check if they contain the process bovine DNA. We can check the real-time PCR. And if in the case of they use the cow gelatin, provide gelatin, and we sometimes we check is the slaughtering according to Islamic law or not as well. And this is the technique for the determination of protein. We also use the CIR, parametric or mass spectrometry. And this one for forbidden, for animal forbidden DNA. And nowadays we have 9 species for forbidden because people think that only for the pig that haram in halal food industry, but actually they possible to contain the other species like a cat, dog, rat, or crocodile, and frog as well. This is our researcher that work on the multiplex DNA analysis for 9 species like this. And this is the some equipment or some technique that can use to product. Nowadays, not only food, but also non-food like cosmetic, also send the sample to us because of the ingredient. Sometimes we know very well in raw material in food product, and in Thailand want to export the cosmetic product as well. So the new halal cosmetic, the new substance or the new list of the chemical, the ulama don't know, so they send the sample to us to detection as well. And this is the ethanol. Some like have to analysis of ethanol, and we can just like the 2 step that synthetic ethanol or fermented ethanol, and we have algorithm that is less than 1%. We can if they less than 1% of content of ethanol, so we report to the CICOT to certified halal, and if not, so we just only report, and then the authority is from the CICOT, and for also the synthetic ethanol, the criteria is 0.5%. This is the overall of our raw material food product that have done 2004 to 2018. We have also the dry yeast as well, that the polar oil, the juice oil, and then this the most case is the fatty acid. And we have the 6 groups of product that analyzed by the Halal Science Center. Normally, as I mentioned, the first we use the sample from the protection 88%, and the other that from the CICOT or the ICOP, Islamic Council of the Provinces, 62%, and also from the research, 12%, and international products from Pakistan, Malaysia, India, and so on, have the 100, almost 100 products. And entrepreneur, and also from the HOQ system that join with us, and all the data from raw material that we have checked already, have organized. So we have develop the book that we call H number. H is mean the halal. Then E number is the from European number that came that is safety for use for use in the food industry. But we don't know the halal status of the E number, because some E number that the source of the E number sometimes from the haram material, haram species. So we don't know the halal status. That's why we develop the H number for replacement this. How? Because H number will facilitating in the market and in case the market competitor. And because when you use the H number, we don't use the lab. If your process is very halal in the beginning of the process, so in final you don't need to use the lab, and this is process we correct from the number in Thailand, and then we categorize into three groups. The first is the halal. Halal
Bukan live ya?
part at 45%. So if they so we separate in the halal group, and then if they have the haram, so we need the R&D for halal alternative or replacement. And sometimes they have the mushroom or not clear, so we have to use the science and technology to clarify the halal status. In the case of mushroom ingredient, if they have the halal certified by the trusted Islamic organization, we also automatically accredit and adding in the H number. And if without the Islamic organization, so we have to interview or document and interview, or the interview document first, and then interview the person or who can answer this. But if not, so we use the lab in the last one. This for the cost for entrepreneur as well. But this is the book that you can see. We have done many years, and then it's waiting. We need you from your side as well, from every country, because if we have more H number, so the all ingredient or raw material is very halal. Everything is halal, so we will reduce the cost. But for Thailand, we have it in. But if we can share information together from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from Pakistan, and we will make the halal food industry may have more competitor than compared to non-halal industry as well. And for the H number, we have proof of fatwa from the Sheikhul Islam Committee as well. This is the picture from that day. And sometimes if you know, if E100 is from the curcumin,
Dr. Ashari, we cannot follow your speech. Did you have any something or problem with your connection, Dr. Ashari?
hello? Okay, you hear me?
Yeah, I have already heard your voice. You can continue
Okay.
your presentation here.
Okay, sorry. I'm not sure that it is something interrupting. And from the our innovation H number, in 2 weeks ago, we got the award, national award from the government. And then we have the application. You can check the halal status of the raw material or the formula in our data. And the raw material or ingredient is really important. Almost 80% in the halal industry, but the process also important. We developed the HowQ halal assurance and liability quality system for use in the halal industry. We call the halal standardization. You know the standard is like a paper, just a paper, but how you use in practice in the halal industry is very important than just only the standard. We call the standardization this process, and we separate to 4 steps. The first is the preparation of document, and we have the Q questionnaire for 4M, and also money, material, and manufacturer, and also in everything. And another is the in-class training.
Dr. Asari, please forgive me to interrupt your speech. Could you share us your presentation, because we cannot see your PowerPoint here.
Really?
Yeah, maybe you can share your PowerPoint, because all of us cannot see your presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now you see my presentation?
Already in our screen. Yeah.
Okay. Okay now? Okay. And the third step is the inside. We set up the quality management representative, and we have to set up the haram critical point, control point, and if they have something haram or najis, we have to limitation. If in case of we cannot, we have to quarantine of the haram, and then we have to cleansing by samak or K-soft. We will talk later. And then if they have something that have to use the laboratory, so we also use it. And finally, the auditor from the Sharia and scientific term have to check, and then we get the HowQ. And this factory get ready to get the halal certification. This like a preparation for the industry to get the halal certification, but authority or halal certification must from the cycle, not from us. And this is the entrepreneur that get the HowQ implementation. Almost 770 entrepreneurs in different kind of entrepreneur, from the food, supplement, beverage, fat and oil, and animal products, and so on. And we also have the research about the benefit of halal standardization using the our HowQ system. They correct the sample that no halal certification like seafood, and then we found that they this is a form of data from the formal time, and then that we check, and then they found that they have also contamination, and some halal certified product as well from inside and also from the outside. They have still have the contamination. But when you use the our HALQ system, when we check after launch the product, and then we found that no contamination. And also this innovation, our innovation system, we get the national and international award from government and also from Malaysia as well. And this is the scientific innovation in from the our system. We call the K-Soap for cleansing the heavy najis, because we are the Shafi'i, we are Shafi'i Mazhab. So when in Thailand, if the entrepreneur want to change from the non-halal line production and then to the halal production, so we have to clean. But for the easy for the so for cleansing from heavy najis, because sometimes the product line contaminate with the haram thing or najis. So we here cleansing first, and this is our innovation from this, and we launched to new cosmetic as well from the clay. And this our innovation from related to the region, like Kesov and sunscreen from avocado soda and Alan anti-acne cream, and the last one from the perilla seed hydrogen for lip balm, and get the international award from in Malaysia as well. This is our IP. And what I have talked is the pre-certification, and the certification process is belong to the CICOT, but this is the algorithm for the post certification, how we increase the need of the consumer in the halal products by using the implement by the IT, we also develop this platform, like a sphere. We call system protocol for halal electronic resource exchange from the Islamic organization, from the entrepreneur side, from the consumer side, and from the government as well. And we call the halal big data house to facilitate this as well. And also we have the business incubator for halal products. We call we have. And when we like I talk to you, is a HALQ, but when we add the IT platform, we call the HAL Plus to the new platform for us to increasing the competitive of the halal product in the market. And to finally, we have to make the halal like a brand. In Thailand, we call Thailand Diamond Halal. And we also have the halal blockchain. Now we also develop this. And what I talk to you is about the using the halal technology for build up trust in halal by the halal traceability in the slogan or the concept of legend certified halal site support in every step of the production. Okay, for this is for what I want to talk to you, and thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you very much for your valuable presentation, Dr. Ashari. And now we are going to the question and answer session. I think I will be separate the session into two parts here. And for every part, probably I will provide the participant to ask 2 or 3 questions to the both of our keynote speakers. I think I have already collect the question from the participant. Also, I would like to invite Dr. Jin. Do you already join us here in the Zoom?
Hi, good morning.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, I think I will start from Dr. Jin
Okay.
first. Yeah, we have two questions here related to your presentation. The first one that my fellow student, I think here, she asked something related to your project.
Okay.
Yeah, are there any benefit of chicken from your research to the community, especially in Thailand and around the globe? And also, is there a possibility to do internship program in your laboratory? I think I have already do some project with you, right? So I sent my
Yeah.
student to your lab last time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
I can
Uh-huh.
answer this question. And also, how about your research progress currently? I mean the stage. When do you develop the research related to bird, and how about the stage nowadays? That's all. And that's
Oh,
the
okay.
first question for you. You can answer it first.
Okay. Okay. So the first question is that you asked if I remember correctly. So is the advantage of using chicken as a model? Okay.
Yeah, and also the impact of your research project to the community.
Okay. So basically, because this I hadn't thought about, but I think so the advantage we can consider. So chicken basically there are many different breeds, so they have many different mutation that occur, and so we humans selected them. So basically, it's a resource for it's a wonderful resource for us to find the genes that responsible for some basic function of like very different kind of morphology or physiological traits. Especially physiological traits. I mean I hadn't thought about now, but I think it's very interesting for people to look at the gene that responsible for physiological trait, because those traits are related to economic value. For example, we want to let the chicken eat less and but they go faster and lay more eggs. Right? Yeah. Actually, I have another project which we done in ducks. Yeah. So we find the ducks, the genes that are responsible for them to eat less but lay more egg. Yeah. So because this is it's, to do this, we need to find a gene responsible for feed efficiency. Okay, so they have more higher efficiency for converting their food to energy and to go meat or eggs. Okay, so and now you mean the recent progress of all community or just my research?
Only in your research group.
Okay, in my research group. Yeah. So basically now we finished the genomic assembly of goose and ducks, two different ducks. Okay, one is called Muscovy duck. So another one is Mandarin duck, and we also assemble the genome for a goose. Okay, so basically using this, we want to find the the trait related to their breeding. Okay, so because we like in Taiwan, so they basically want to increase the breeding efficiency. Okay, so basically we have done this, and supposedly we should submit our paper this year. Okay, and another one, so for the chicken, so now I mentioned two traits. Especially for the crested one, I mean the elongated feather on top of their head. So basically, we now have very that the gene HuxCA is involved, but the problem is we hadn't found the mutation yet, the causative mutation. Okay, so suppose the mutation occurred in their enhancer, the regulatory region. So, but we haven't found the mutation yet. Okay, so we're looking for it now. And for the SOBP, basically, we done it in the embryo, but the problem is the chicks, like they only have they only have 5 feathers, which are contour feather. But now some of my friends they suggested us to do it in the adult chicken, but so we now designing the experiment to do it in adult chicken. Basically, to do the experiment in adult chicken, we pluck their feather, okay, or pluck their feather, so they got hole on their skin, right? So we inject the virus into the hole, okay? So to infect the stem cell inside the fetal follicle. So the regenerative fetal, they open the stem cell. So the stem cell will basically proliferate and become the future fetal, okay? So basically we inject the virus, so whether we infect the stem cell, and then we can overexpress the protein we want. Okay, so we need to do it in the adult chicken, okay? And for the last project I mentioned is the invasive EBs, right? So for that bird, we basically have doing the whole genome sequencing right now. Okay, we want to sequence the whole genome. Okay, so sequence the whole genome so we can compare the genome. We can compare different population in Taiwan because they are invasive species. As I mentioned, there's a so-called genetic paradoxes. Okay, so because they used to be very few individual, right? Only 4 to 6 individual, but now they became over 10,000 in Taiwan. So from less than 10 to 10,000. Okay, so their population grow, but we don't know why inbreeding depression is not a problem in their in this kind of bird. So we want to sequence their genome to find out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And for the next one is one of the participants here also asking you about how about your perspective? As we know that nowadays many bird species come from abroad, I mean non-local, through legal or illegal regulation for business purposes. Yes. Okay, and how it will affect the local or original species, especially when I see in the market we have a lot of species that not really originally from Indonesia. Some of those species come from the mainland China, maybe from Taiwan too. So yeah, how about your research project to anticipate this genetic drift, right? That genetic flow to our original species. How do you think about that?
Okay, so basically, the ibis we study is water bird. Okay, so basically they live in the wetland. Okay, so in wetland there are many others water birds, right? So we found that they compete for the location for nesting. So if they build more nest, okay, and then there are less space for other water birds to find places to build nests, okay. So and then another problem is they compete for food, okay. So because the ibis they have longer and bigger beaks, okay, the beaks is longer and bigger, so they can eat more food, okay. So basically, then this could create a situation that those native local birds they have less food to eat, yeah. And another problem for this kind of bird is that they can transmit disease, right? Transmit diseases. So because when their population go too large, and then they create more situation for contacting humans, right? So it can transmit. And now we know the COVID-19 they can't go out anymore, right? So basically, we don't want to have this kind of situation. So basically, for this invasive bird, they have this kind of problem. Okay. So but again, as I say, like if you introduce some some exotic birds, so this bird came from other countries, because they have the climates is different, right? So for example, China, they are temporal and basically they are colder, but when they introduce to Indonesia, it's hotter. So supposedly they should not live well, right? Supposedly, but we don't know why. Sometimes this bird they can live well, and these are ibis. These are Africa ibis. They came from Africa, so basically they came from tropical country. But we don't know why they can survive the winter in Taiwan. Yeah, because it's really cold. So there are many questions to be answered, many biological questions to be answered. Yeah, but I think this is a kind of interesting model to study because these birds they need to adapt to the local environment. So they have many problems they haven't faced in their native environment. So and another thing we think about is that maybe say like when they introduce Taiwan, so they need to adapt to the pathogens, viruses, bacteria in Taiwan. So maybe their immune system is under very strong selection. So we will also focus on their immune system, the genes involved in their immune system as well.
Okay, the last one. How do you think about the bird quality? Sometimes the breeder try to make a breeding between the foreign or abroad species to our local original species. And how to ensure the quality? Can we use the morphology, the feather morphology to ensure this bird is actually is in high quality for breeding?
Oh, okay, interesting question. Yeah, because sometimes we have, especially for domestic animal, we want to with the foreign one with the local one, because the foreign one maybe they have more higher efficiency, but they cannot adapt to the local environment or diseases, right? So we do this kind of breeding. It's good for the agriculture, right? So, but interesting, but because I actually hadn't known any feather traits that related to their quality. Okay. Of course, we know they should, because going feather is very energy and consuming, right? And resource consuming. So suppose the feather should reflect their quality. But I so far I hadn't known any choice that related to the. But in Taiwan, you know, like they breed pigeon. For race, so they do this the pigeon to race to see which pigeon can fly faster and longer. Okay. So in Taiwan, I heard from those breeder, they say one trait they can use the trait for inferring the muscle quality of the pigeon.
The muscle quality.
Their eyes.
The eyes.
So if you look at their eyes, they know, okay, so for some traits in their eyes reflect the quality of their muscle. Okay, why is this? It could be due to two reasons. One, maybe the genes have paratopic effects, say the gene have multiple effects, so it also control eyes and feather, and muscle, sorry. Or it link the gene control the eyes trait, link to the gene control the muscle trait. So they strongly link. So basically, they can use the quality, the trace of eyes to infer the trace of muscles. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your valuable response. I think it's quite interesting topic. Okay, for the next question, I have to jump to Dr. Akhari. Maybe Dr. Jin can still join us here. And the first question for Dr. Akhari, this is from our local colleagues, I think, yeah. Halal is very important for Muslim community in the world. I think it is not debatable, right? And how can we easily identify something is halal, such as from food, clothes, cosmetic, and other? How we can detect it is easily? Okay, that's the first question for Dr. Akhari. I mean, like, if we cannot find the halal label outside the thing like cosmetic, food, clothing, or something like that, how we can easily take this is haram material, this is not halal material?
For myself, I think it's difficult. You just say that easily to detect, but your question is tough for me. Actually, it depends on your background. I think actually your background, your knowledge about the halal literacy, like if you're familiar to the food or familiar to the ingredient, and you know the first thing that you have to know the source of the product, source of ingredient, and you can certify and you can classify that it's a natural or not natural, like a plant that like a plant or that a halal animal. And then if you consider in the screening in the first, and then you make sure that it's halal. So you can eat it if you know that it's halal or you sure for halal. But sometimes if you sure but actually it's not haram, so the Allah will forgive you. I think it's normal. But you have to consider that halal have to think halal by certification, and halal by non-certification. If non-certification, you have to responsible by yourself for the eating haram thing. But if the halal product which certification by someone or third party, they will responsible for your sin instead of you. And then do not worry about the product that have the halal certification. But in the case of yourself, you have to have your knowledge or sharia in yourself. And then if you make sure you eat halal, so you will feel free to eat it. I think and Allah like Surah Al-Baqarah will forgive you, inshallah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like in the case of the I think the halal is about about the religion issue as well, because it's related to the akidah. But if you when why we say like this, because in Thailand it's non-Muslim country, the owner not then because the halal is
Dr. Akhari, I think we lost your your signal here. Okay, we are waiting for Dr. Asari. I do apologize to all the participants here because we have a technical problem nowadays. So we're just waiting for him.
Okay.
Okay, you can continue. Okay.
Okay. In the case of yourself, you are sincere to eat it if you make sure. That's all. I think that's
okay.
all.
The second one is as we know that some of the meat will go to the high heating process before we consume it. So how the principle on or how the procedure to detect the haram material in the high heating meat processes?
Meat processes.
Yeah.
You have to point for me, if they contaminate with the haram ingredient in the beginning of the production, we have to get it off. And but in the case you say that meat processed with the heating, that in case of tayyib, I think not safe for yourself. Food safety. I think if they have the carcinogen from your heating in the meat, so it's not like a halal perspective, but for the tayyib, I think.
So is that possible to detect the haram ingredient within the meat after the heating process? Because as you know, heat it is very important to the ingredient, right?
You mean that in the beginning your product or your meat contaminate, and after that you facing the heating process like that, and then
how we can detect how we can detect the haram material inside?
Yes. Okay. Depend on the technique, I think, and the content of the contamination as well. And if the heating will destroy the structure of the sample of the haram material, haram molecule, and then we cannot detect it. but we have to see the byproduct of the raw material. Like gelatin is really easy to hydrolyze or hydrolyzed by the heating or in some enzyme. So we cannot find the original of the sausage. But if we have to trace track back up to the original, like that. You mean like that? But
Yeah.
the first thing that the extraction, the process of extraction and the technique to determination as well. Normally, if I think the Islam is easy, when you have the advance of the technology for detect it, if you cannot find it, it's okay for Muslim, but you no need now. I mean the nowadays of technology, you need to like you have to find the picogram, nanogram to do like this. I think if you have the standard method, it's okay for certification. Like you have the you have the capability to do like some country have the advanced equipment or advanced technology, but some country can detect only small or the large of the content of contamination. So it's different. Okay.
So you mean like there's that the equipment? I mean the
technique
machine? Yeah, the technique
and
also
the
determine the
machine,
sensitivity, how to detect the halal raw material within the food, right?
yeah.
Okay, thank you. And for the last one, Dr. Ashari, we have one question from our fellow student here. She want to ask you about can we get the age number halal haram masbuh ingredient in your list book? How do we get your book? Is that
Yes,
possible to yeah? Is that free for
just
the global reader, or we have to
yes. Actually,
get it?
it's free. When you
Oh,
visit us, we will give you. Or we go somewhere. We always take it and
is
give
that any
the
electronic version of your
not
books?
actually not yet. But we have the application like I show in my slide. We transfer because we know that it's difficult to handle or the data will change in every minute. Like the data of entrepreneur that selling or produce the halal E number or H number, and then they sometimes they halal, sometimes they out of our list. So if they use the digital platform, it's better. But if you can use this guideline for your country, it's okay. But all in entrepreneur is mostly in Thailand. So if you can order or you can import the ingredient from Thailand. But if you have your own halal list in Indonesia, I think that we have a huge data. I think inshallah, and we can change data together, inshallah. Okay. So now, if you scan barcode in our slide, and then you can get the H number. We call H4E. We can use it, but all the industry in most of them in Thailand.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we are in the end part of this first plenary session. So before I close this session, I would like to take the conclusion from both of our keynote speaker that the genomic and molecular approach can be used as the tracer technique to detect the genetic drift and also the alteration of genetic profile in birds and other kind of bird in around the globe. And for the halal preparation method, also it can use the molecular approach and make a link between the algorithm and computer analysis maybe to provide the scientific method and can guarantee the halal and haram decision for all the material around the globe, because the consumer is not only from the Muslim country and also for the non-Muslim country. I think that's all. So ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of the presentation from both of our keynote speaker in the first plenary session, and I would like to say thanks again for the keynote speaker for their valuable and inspirative speech, and also to the audience for your active participation. Hopefully the presentation of this first plenary session will be beneficial for all of you. Thank you very much for your attention. And good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will let
Thank you very much.
the master of ceremony continue
Warahmatullahi
for
wabarakatuh.
for the next session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for all keynote speakers and moderator. It was a great presentation and discussion, right? Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, before we start plenary lecture part 2, let's following company talk by GeneCraft Labs as our sponsor of conference today. To GeneCraft Labs, time is yours.
Hi, thank you. Just a quick check. Good morning, everyone. Are you able to hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Very good morning to every one of you in Indonesia. Thank you so much for giving me time to join in this conference. I am an Indonesian myself, so it really feels familiar to have this collaboration with University of Malang, because I stay pretty near to Malang. And I've seen that, everyone is very excited with the discussion with the first two lecture. And I've also noticed that there were some questions regarding the halal testing. What happens if you are using processed meat that has gone through high pressure, high temperature, and so on. And I hope with my lecture today, I will be able to answer and address your issues on that matter. And before I start, I just want to introduce Kaijen's commercial partner in Indonesia, which is GeneCraft. So if there is any questions related to my talk today, please feel free to reach out to my colleagues in GeneCraft Labs. Okay, so as all of you know, we have two generations of PCR technology right now. We started off with conventional PCR technology, which is more of an endpoint detection, and then you have to run gel to see whether your target is there or not. So it's very qualitative. You are not able to measure how many of your targets is there, which may be limiting in some of the applications today. And then moving on, we have the second generation of PCR, which is the real time. And right now we are able to detect exactly and quantify how many copies of our targets are in the reaction, because real time allows you that kind of a conversion from the CT value to copy number by introducing a standard, right? So for applications like halal testing is more for a present and absence, but if let's say you are trying to measure a mutation or virus copy number, pathogens, bacteria, and so on, with real time, then you need to make sure that you have that standard. Having to rely on the standard also means that your standard has to be accurate and it has to be consistent. So if let's say you do it today and then your colleague does it the next day, you have to make sure that you guys have the same standards. Otherwise, there will be some discrepancy in your data. So there's a lot of uncertainties in the current technology, even though both conventional and real-time PCR has been used in a lot of molecular-based techniques. So earlier today, I do hear talks about genome editing, I would say. It has been used to measure the copy number when you are doing some kinds of editing to the genes. PCR has also been used in food safety testing, not just halal testing. There is GMO testing, there's bacteria testing, and so on, right? And with the current ongoing pandemic with COVID-19, PCR technology has also been used for environmental surveillance. And I also noticed later today, there will be a talk on cattle breeding. So you'll be surprised that PCR technology has also been used in cattle breeding. Okay, but having such a wide applications, both in medicine, applied market, and so on, we are still facing a lot of challenges with the first two generations of PCR. With conventional PCR, it's qualitative, like I mentioned, so there is no information on the absolute number of the target copies. With real-time PCR, it's relative because you have to compare it to a standard, and the standard itself is a source of variation. So if you are looking for something that is extremely rare in a very small amount, like halal testing, right? Sometimes the cosmetics, food products, it has very little amount of non-halal ingredients. The current technology basically will not be able to allow you to detect that because of the limited sensitivity. Okay, and then there's low tolerance to PCR inhibitors. So if you are testing processed food or samples that has very complex metrics, then real-time PCR, conventional PCR may not be the answer for your application. So today, basically what I am introducing to you is the solution to your current problems, which is through the third generation of digital PCR. So with digital PCR, you can now do absolute quantification. What do I mean by absolute quantification? It means your output, your results is no longer in CT value. It's no longer in whether the band is present or not, but it gives you exactly how many copies of your target is inside that sample. Okay, and you can do that without having to rely on standard curve. Digital PCR has the highest sensitivity compared to the first two generations of PCR. So I will explain to you more later how does this technology work and why this is more superior than real-time PCR. So if we look at the workflow, on top here is the real-time workflow, and the one below is on your digital PCR. Basically, you can see that the steps is very similar, right? The only thing that is different or additional is the partitioning. So what do I mean by partitioning is where we take, let's say you prepare a 10 microliter reaction. So when you put it into real time, you work with that 10 microliter and you get one data. What happens in digital PCR during the partitioning step is that we take that 10 microliter and then we divide them. We further distribute them into tens of thousands of individual PCR reactions. So you have tens of thousands of data instead of just having one data. So why is this partitioning step so powerful? So let me tell you one of the key advantage. Here is, let's say, for example, here you have your tube of 16 microliter. And then inside your tube, let's say, just an example, you have 2 molecules of your target. So this means the concentration of your target is about it is 1 molecule per 8 microliter of your reaction. Now, what happens in partitioning is that I take this 16 microliter and then I divide them into 16 same volume partitions. Okay. So now each partition here is 1 microliter. So if you look at the partition that has your target molecule, now the effective concentration has been increased 8 times, right? Now the effective concentration has become 1 molecule per microliter. So it's like giving you a microscope to zoom in, giving you that high resolution. At the same time, what it does is it also filters out the background that is interfering with your actual target. So this is how partitioning gives you that higher sensitivity. So if you recall, if you are doing real-time PCR over here, the small diagram here, you can see you get the result as the cycle number, right? And any difference of 1 CT value is equivalent to 2 times of your fold change. But now, what if I'm looking for very small changes? I'm not looking at something that's 2 times. I just want a 50% difference, 30%, 20%, or even down to 1 copy difference. Real-time PCR will not be able to give you that kind of high resolution. But if you look here in digital PCR, what we do here is a 10 dilution. We started off with 1,300 around there. And then as you move from the left to the right, you can see the figures here, it reduced exactly at 10%. So this is how digital PCR gives you that superiority, gives you more power to look into very little changes with very high sensitivity and accuracy. So having said that, basically here is a summary between the two technologies, right? Real time, as the name suggests, detection is by real time. Digital PCR is at endpoint. Digital PCR, we have partitioning. So now instead of one data, you have tens of thousands of data. So statistically, it gives you that higher power. The output in digital PCR is absolute. You get the result as copy number. Okay, so there is no need for you standard curve to do your math, Excel file to do the conversion. Okay, digital PCR has higher sensitivity. And the good news here is if you already have the assays, the primers, the probes, the design that you have been using for your real-time PCR, you can use the same assay to work on digital PCR. Okay, so the only thing that you change here is the machine. All right, you can still use the same assays for your specific targets. So digital PCR, to be honest, it's not a new technology. It has been around for a while. And you can see here, based on the number of publications that is being produced each year, there is an exponential growth. So there's a very fast adoption of this new technology. People are moving away from real time towards digital PCR. So here is our digital PCR system from QIAGEN. We call it QIAQT. If some of you have heard about digital PCR system before, I think Dr. Akari, I noticed that you have a droplet digital PCR. So you will realize here that with the QIAGEN digital PCR system, it is of all-in-one, fully integrated solution. So you only work with one system. It has the partitioning module, thermal cycler inside, as well as the camera. We have 4 different models, right? Our lowest model is QIAQT1. That means you can only put 1 plate in a single run, okay? And you have the option of having 2 detection channels or 5 detection channels. If you are thinking to share this instrument with your neighboring labs or different departments, and each of you are working on different projects, different applications, then you may want to consider QIAQT4 or QIAQT8, because with QIAQT4, it means that you can put a maximum of 4 plates at any one time, and each plate can have its own protocol. Okay, so, and the good news here is you do not have to wait for the first plate to finish before you move on to the next. So it really gives you that ideal solution for a lab that has multi-user. So once you have the system, there are only 2 more things that you need, just like real time, right? The first thing that you need is the plate. So our plate is the same size as your real-time 96 well plate, but the configuration is different. So you need to get this nano plate. So what we have here is our nano plate in 24 well format as well as 96 well format. So in the tiny circle here is where you put in your reaction volume, and you can see the space next to it is where you have the partitions at the bottom of the well. I'll show you more later. So this is how the 96 well look like, and this is the image that we took of the whole 96 well plate. So again, if some of you are familiar with the earlier digital PCR systems, such as the droplet, then you will be starting asking like, hey, why are you using nanoplate? Why are you not using the droplet approach? So there are several issues with the droplet approach. First is you can have inconsistent number of the droplet. And then to make matter worse is that different droplets can have different size. Okay, and digital PCR, the calculation relies a lot on the consistency of the partition size. So if you have different volume or different sizes in the partition, then it will give you the risk of having inaccuracy in your results. So we do not want to have problems with inaccuracy, which is why we are using the nanoplate format. Now, once you have the nanoplate, the second thing that you need is the reagent. So that depends on your assay. If you are using a probe-based detection, then you can use the probe master mix. If you are using the primer-based detection, then what we are using is the EvaGreen master mix. Okay, so for the master mix, you have to use our digital PCR master mix because it contains a special reference dye that helps you in the calculation. So I will go through the workflow of our ICOLIST. After that, I will show you some data on the different kinds of applications where others have used our digital PCR system. So same as real time, the very first thing that you need to do is prepare your reaction, just simple pipetting, and then pipette it into the nanoplate, right? Once it is pipetted, then you need to apply a rubber seal. So this seal is applied together with the plate, so there's no need for you to purchase it separately. And after that, take the plate, load it into the system, and the hands-on part is done. Now everything else is being done by the system. So you are free to walk away to do any other task. So in the system will do the partitioning, seal the bottom of the plate, and then it will go through the thermal cycling. After that, the last part is the detection of the fluorescence by the CMOS camera. So now I will play a short video to show you, to walk you through the whole workflow and show you what is happening inside the instrument itself. So here's your plate, and then here we are using a multi-channel pipette to pipette the reaction, and then the rubber seal is applied. We also provide the roller. So this is to make sure that the plate is well sealed using the rubber seal that is provided. Once that is done, then now you take the plate and load it into the system. Okay, so what we are showing here is ICOLIST 1. So you can see the drawer has only one slot for one plate. Now let's take a look at what is happening inside the system itself. Every plate has a barcode sticker. So when it goes in, we have a barcode reader to help you keep track on the experiments that you are performing. And then now the plate goes into the thermal cycler. And the very first step is the partitioning step. So in the partitioning, we have pistons inside the machine here. It pushes against the rubber seal, and by doing that, it pushes your reaction through the partitions at the bottom of the plate. Okay, and now the bottom of the plate is sealed to make sure that each partition is on its own. There is no contact with one another. Once that is done, the plate is now taken into the thermal cycler. Okay, so now in the thermal cycler is just a usual PCR reaction, right? So you set the cycling parameters on your own. Basically, partitions that contains the target then will have an increased fluorescence. Partitions that do not contain the target then will not have any fluorescence. So once the cycling part is done, now we take the plate and then we move it into the last step, which is the detection part. So in the detection part, we have a camera. The camera will move from well to detect the fluorescence and then convert the reading into copies per microliter. Okay, very simple. And by doing that, you get your results in less than 2 hours. So very similar to real time. So just one system, all in one. Okay, so with the QIAGEN digital PCR, it's just one system. You have minimal hands-on. Basically, you only need to pipette the reaction into the plate, and then you can walk away and do any other things. And then we have the, you can get the results in under 2 hours. If you are using other digital PCR system, basically there are multiple instruments that you need. So it is more expensive, it is more time consuming, and there is higher risk for human error. Okay, so like every instrument, it comes with a software. You can put in information about the experiment and then use the same software for the analysis. So these are just some different ways for you to visualize your data, which is very good for poster as well as for presentation. So now I just want to pick up 2 to 3 data here. I know we're running out of time. Please bear with me for another 5 minutes because I see that some of you just now have some questions regarding halal testing. And Dr. Akari has also mentioned that, you know, it also relies on the technology that you have. So here's publication that use a digital PCR. They compared it to real-time PCR. And you can see here, digital PCR, they do not have any problems with very harsh treatments such as high temperatures, very low temperatures, this from -18 all the way to 120 degrees. Okay, so you can see it's still consistent, it works very well. Whereas if let's say you are using real time, because the DNA content is or the halal ingredient, the non-halal ingredient is badly damaged, you may not be able to detect it. Okay, so with digital PCR, you do not have to worry for when you are working with samples that are difficult. It shows you consistent data, and it has been approved for testing for meat adulteration when you're trying to specify what are the different species in the meat itself. So I will not go through this part in the interest of time, but here I'm just showing you some data that we have done in-house, right? These are samples that has high pork content. This is low pork content. So the pork content here is detected by the yellow cluster. So you can see with low pork content, the yellow cluster is lesser, right? And when we have a sample that contains only beef, there is no yellow clustering at all. And then here is also the copy number. You can see your results is no longer CT value, but the copy number. Here are samples that contains pork are B1, B2, D1, D2, F1, and F2. And you are seeing a 4 times dilution. Okay, and those in B3, D3, and F3 contains beef only. So it's a highly sensitive platform. You can detect as low as 1 copy per microliter. Besides halal testing, you can also use it for copy number variation. So this is very wide. If you're looking at virus, viral load, pathogens, genome editing, and so on, we can detect a difference down to 1 copy. Okay. With SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, yes, digital PCR has been used because with real time, basically, is not sensitive enough. So usually the SARS-CoV-2 virus is being detected at a later stage. So during that time, you know, this individual might be, this individual is infectious and is going around infecting everyone. So with digital PCR, we are able to show once more time, again here in the green box, this is a positive plasmid control from IDT. We did a 10 times dilution. You can see it is very precise, right? And we can detect down to 1 copy per microliter. And when we apply the negative control, of course, you are not detecting any. So that means that, yeah, it's a very specific assay. Digital PCR has also been used in cancer for mutation. This is we are detecting lesser than 1 copy, right? Because with cancer, you want to detect the mutation as early as possible to decide on the treatment. So here is from plasma and tissues. You can see that we have more or less the same results, and we can go down to 0.28 copies per microliter. So it's highly sensitive. Here we're comparing with NGS, same results again. So NGS is expensive, it's very complicated, the workflow is extremely long. So if you know what you are looking for, basically you can just use digital PCR. So there's a lot more applications with digital PCR. There is for cattle breeding to detect the gender in the animal, right? For infectious diseases, probiotics, and so on. So I apologize that I cannot share with you more information regarding the digital PCR system, but just one thing that is very important here is that it is an open system, okay? So that means that you do not have to buy the assay from QIAGEN, it's open. You can use it with any other assay that you have or purchase from other vendor. Okay. If you want to know more about our digital PCR system and how you can use it for your specific applications, please do not hesitate to contact myself. So I'm your global contact. And then for our participants from Indonesia, as you know, GeneCraft is our commercial partner. So these are my colleagues in Indonesia. So if you want to try out the system, you want to know how you can use it for your applications, arrange a demo and see the magic for yourself, please feel free to contact any one of us. With that, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you for a great explain and company talk by GeneCraft. Thank you, GeneCraft Labs. And well, ladies and gentlemen, we will go into the next sessions. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, which is the second plenary session with Dr. Khairul Natwa binti Jemon from University Technology Malaysia and Professor Dr. Adreno Muhammad Amin MSI from Universitas Negeri Malang. We would like to invite our moderator, Dr. Ahmad Taufik MSI, to lead this session. Dr. Ahmad Taufik MSI, he got his Doctor of Physics in ITS under research in collaboration with University of Tokyo and Riken Nishina Center Japan, Master in ITS and Bachelor in Universitas Negeri Malang. So, Dr. Ahmad Taufik, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Mr. Taufik Haji. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. After we follow and we join and also we study together from the previous excellent keynote speaker, and now we are going to continue our session to learn together, to take knowledge and also skill and also experiences for the next excellent keynote speaker. We will conduct and also I will lead the next presentation. The first one will be delivered by Dr. Khairul Natwa Jemon from University Technology Malaysia, and the last one will be also delivered by Professor Dr. Muhammad Amin from State University of Malang. This section will be different because after the first keynote speaker, Dr. Khairul Natwa, we will continue by discussion for 10 minutes. The keynote speaker will have 30 minutes for presentation and followed by 10 minutes for discussion. Before we continue our agenda today, let me read the curriculum vitae of our keynote speaker now. Dr. Khairul Natwa Jemon, she is from University Technology Malaysia. Her field interest is about immunology and also cancer research. I think it is very similar with Mr. Hendra works with me. She has many publications. For example, journal of his works, his paper were published in good quality journal. For example, in Journal of Environmental Chemical Engineering, Journal of Social Science and Technology, and others. Her speech is about old but gold. A very interesting topic, I think. Old but gold harnessing hyperthermia for cancer immunotherapy. Now we will give the time for Dr. Hairun Nadwa Jimon for 30 minutes to deliver your speech, and then directly followed by discussion for 10 minutes. Dr. Hairun Nadwa, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taufik, for that kind introduction. Let me share you my screen. All right. Okay, so before I start the presentation, I would like to share this interesting quote, which says, those diseases which medicine do not cure, the knife cures. Those which knife cannot cure, the fire cures. And those which fire cannot cure are reckoned to be wholly incurable. Ladies and gentlemen, I stumbled this quote some 20 years ago when I was still in secondary school, learning about the history of global civilization. So this quote was from the famous Hippocrates, which is considered as the father of medicine, and was also known as a Greek physician. Back then, I do not know what is the meaning of this quote. Yeah, not knowing that 20 years later, fast forward, this quote has been my main interest, and in which I'm going to share with you all today. All right, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. My name is Hairun Nadwa. Hello. Yeah, so good morning, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, everyone. My name is Hairun Nadwa. I'm from University of Technology, Malaysia. I'll be sharing my work entitled The Old But Gold, Harnessing Hyperthermia for Cancer Immunotherapy. All right, so cancer has been considered as one of the leading cause of death worldwide. According to the estimate by the WHO, it has been estimated that cancer has been is ranked as the first or even second cause of leading cause of death in 50% part of the world. As you can see here, Malaysia here is has ranked cancer as the second leading cause of death, while you guys in Indonesia here are very lucky that cancer is ranked as the third leading cause of death in the world. Having said that, the current treatment, the conventional treatment for cancer includes surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy. However, this conventional treatment are associated with adverse effects. Some of them cause pain, trauma, and surgery, for example, very invasive, which these treatments can kill both normal and cancer cells, and even worse, it may lead to the tumor recurrence. So hyperthermia has been introduced into the clinical field for cancer therapeutic, in which hyperthermia involves the induction of heat to elevate body temperature. So this procedure has been very attractive, in which it is very it costs less pain, it has a very short recovery time, and most importantly, it provides longer relapse-free. This is based on the data that I obtained from the literature review. Hypothermia can be done either locally, regionally, or whole body hypothermia. So the temperature that normally being given to the body for hypothermia can be within 39 to 48 degrees Celsius, or sometimes up to 70 to 90 degrees Celsius. So the higher temperature usually target for thermal ablation. So the hypothermia can cause direct damage to the cells, and it also can cause the tumor cells to be more sensitized to other treatment. This is particularly true if you're working with triple negative breast cancer, which is known to be more resistant to most of the drugs. So in order to conduct hypothermia, there are various techniques can be done. And various devices can be used. These include the use of infrared radiation, radio frequency, microwave, and ultrasound. So how do hypothermia work? So it is very simple actually. So when we introduce the heat, the tumor cells to the heat, so these stress tumor cells will release antigen that is called the heat shock protein. So this heat shock protein will be taken up by dendritic cells, which is one of the important antigen presenting cells. So upon take up of this antigen, the dendritic cells become mature and are able to present the antigen to the naive T cells. Naive T cells in return become activated and goes back to the blood circulation and looking for the tumor cells that is also expressing the same antigen, which is the heat shock protein from the hypothermia. So this is why we thought that hypothermia is sensitive, or in another way, hypothermia is very specific, in which it can only target the cells that express the same antigen, and thus it is not dangerous to the neighboring normal cells. Despite the promising outcome in the research, hypothermia, however, has not yet been used widely in clinics. This is partly due to the several factors, and one of them is due to the temperature difference, in which slight temperature difference would give a different therapeutic effects. For example, temperature from 39 to 44 degrees Celsius are known to, induce anti-tumor response, while the temperature higher than that, they are particularly directly killing the cells, which is for thermal ablative. And secondly is that it is very difficult to get heat distribution in the tumor mass. So always issue that we have, the challenge that we have during hypothermia treatment is to the uneven heat distribution throughout the tumor mass. So imagine if we have a superficial tumor, for example, the tumor that is like for breast cancer, for example, the tumor mass is like big. So how can we actually making sure that the temperature is being evenly distributed throughout the tumor mass? So that is one of the challenge that is remain to be solved in this field. Another factors that influence the limitation of HT treatment is the inadequate monitoring of thermal dose or tumor temperature during treatment. So how can we actually maintain the tumor receive a certain degree of heat throughout the treatment? There must be some sort of like monitoring to making sure that the tumor receive the right thermal dose. And another factors is the techniques in which hyperthermia require more effective protocol for it to be clinically reliable. All right, so yes, so having said that, our group, our research group focus on establishing the optimum temperature for hyperthermia treatment in inducing anti-tumor response. This is our one of our early research activity, and then we move on to the integration of CNT in the HT treatment regime for even heat distribution. All right, we realized that a slight change in the tumor temperature in the hyperthermia temperature would give different therapeutic outcome. Therefore, we wish to establish our own procedure in our lab. So in order to test this, we are using the EMT6 murine breast cancer as a model. So any results described in this presentation is mainly generated from the EMT6 murine breast cancer model. So in this experiment, we induced the mouse with EMT6 cells. And then a week after that, we subject the mouse to hyperthermia treatment. So in our protocol, we use 43 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. And the treatment was given for 3 days, every day for 3 days. And then we monitor the tumor growth. So from this result, we can show that tumor treated with hyperthermia showed a significant delay in tumor growth as compared to the control group. So the black line here represent the mouse tumor growth from the control group, and accompanied with the prolonged tumor survival, median of tumor survival. What has got our attention is that 50% of the mice here become tumor-free even within 2 weeks of, after 2 weeks of the hyperthermia treatment. And this has prompted us to further investigate into the pathology effect of hyperthermia to the tumor. So we move on to look at the effect of hyperthermia in the pathology aspect, in which we harvest the tumor and then we subjected the tumor sections for H&E. So as you can see here that in the normal section of from the sections of control tumor, you can see here that the cells displayed a very normal morphology with an intact nucleus, and the cells are very packed. They remain intact, and the neighboring cells are very packed, showing that this is like the normal morphology of untreated tumor cells. Well, if you can see here in the treated tumor sections, the morphology of the tumor cells has been slightly altered, in which the cells become necrotized, especially at the edge of the tumor here, as you can see. Thus, indicates that hyperthermia-induced tumor necrosis. We then further to look on the effect of hyperthermia on cell proliferation. So the same sections we subjected to immunohistochemical analysis. We stain the sections for anti-PCNA. PCNA stands for proliferating nuclear antigen, which is an important marker to indicate the status of cells, whether it is still in a proliferating state or in a good state. So the blue color here comes from the DAP, while the green color here comes from the PCNA antibody. So if you want to compare the immunohistochemical profile here, you can see that there is a reduction of PCNA staining in the treated group as compared to the control. And when we enumerated the number of positive PCNA positive cells and we translate it into the graph, we can see that there is a significant reduction of PSMA positive cells in the treated in the HT treated group as compared to the control, implying that there is a decrease in tumor cell proliferation and suggesting the retardation of a tumor growth. This result is actually in line with the reduction of the tumor growth that we showed you earlier. We next looking at the measuring the HSP expression following hyperthermia. So as I have shown you earlier in the previous slide, when hyperthermia is being given to the tumor, so the stress cells or the dying cells will express or will release HSP70 protein. So this HSP70 protein is considered as an antigen, specific antigen to the tumor area, which then will be picked up by the dendritic cells. So as you can see here that the tumor section that is being stained with anti-HSP70 showed a very strong expression of HSP70 in the hyperthermia treated group, while there is no HSP expression was detected in the control group, indicating that this HSP is being highly expressed following hyperthermia treatment. We then looking at whether hyperthermia could increase the infiltration of dendritic cells, and we also wanted to look at the activation status of dendritic cells because it is hypothesized that dendritic cells is the key player in activating the immune response, anti-tumor immune response. So a day after hyperthermia treatment, we harvested the lymph nodes, the draining lymph nodes, which is the axillary and inguinal lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes, the lymphocytes were stained with CD11C antibody, which is a specific marker for dendritic cells. So from this graph here, we can see that there is an increase, significant increase of CD11C positive cells in the lymph nodes of a tumor being treated with hyperthermia as compared to the control. Now, when we examine the behavior of these dendritic cells, we kind of see that there is an increase of CD86 and modest increase of CD80 in the hyperthermia treated group. For your information, CD86 and CD80 is the major hallmark of activation status of dendritic cells. So those dendritic cells that express high CD86 and 80 is in a mature status, which means that they are able to activate the naive T cells during their priming activity. We then looking at the effect of hyperthermia into the immune cells trafficking in the tumor. We firstly interested to look at the infiltration of T cells. So we have two types of T cells that we look here. The major one is the CD8 T cells, or the cytotoxic T cells, known to be very important in the killing the tumor cells. So this was done by flow cytometric analysis, and the CD8 was isolated from the tumor cells, and we identified it as a positive cells that is expressing both CD8 and CD3 marker. So this population here is the one that we are interested to look at. Now, collectively, it has been demonstrated that there is an increase of CD8 T cells in the tumor following hyperthermia treatment, while there is also a modest increase of CD4 T cells in the hyperthermia treatment group as compared to the control group. This kind of like implying that hyperthermia has some influencing in the trafficking of T cells into the tumor area. Now, we're also looking at the effect of hyperthermia on the regulatory T cells. It has been widely accepted that regulatory T cells is higher in the tumor microenvironment. And this increase of regulatory T cells is actually not good for anti-tumor response, in which it blocks many anti-tumor response. So in anti-tumor study, decreasing regulatory T cells is one of the main objectives in order to improve the overall anti-tumor response. So in this study, we try to see whether we could decrease the regulatory T cells. So regulatory T cells is being identified by expressing CD4 marker. And on top of that, we also making sure that the cells is expressed FOXP3 and CD25. And from the analysis, we could say that there is a significant decrease of regulatory T cells in hyperthermia treated group as compared to the control. This is something that we are really, really happy about. Another important cells that mediating the anti-tumor response is known as natural killer cells. Unlike T lymphocytes and regulatory T cells, which are considered as the cells from the adaptive immunity, NK cells is actually cells from the innate immunity. But it has also been, the increase of NK cells has been associated with a good prognosis of any cancer treatment. So this experiment, we also showed that there is a modest increase of NK cells in the hyperthermia treated group as compared to the control. So altogether, we managed to come out with a simplified mechanism of anti-tumor response by hyperthermia that is established in our lab. So we started with this. This is actually this similar a version of a figure that I've shown you earlier, but this is collectively taken from the results that we obtained from our study. So we started here where we induce the cells with hyperthermia. We induce heat to the tumor cells, and this heat and the dying cells from the hyperthermia treated tumor will release HSP70 or tumor antigen, and this HSP70 protein will be taken up by dendritic cells. Dendritic cells process this antigen and present the peptides to CD4 and CD8 T cells. CD8 T cells become activated and increase the cells trafficking into the tumor microenvironment, thus performing their killing activity. In another aspect, we're also looking at the natural killer cells, in which hyperthermia causes the increase of interferon gamma. This is the result that is not shown in this presentation, and these NK cells are thought to be able in mediating the cytotoxicity activity, thus lysing the tumor cells. Now, we having this protocol established in our lab, we are trying to move forward in order to provide solution for uniform heat distribution in tumor microenvironment. So in this study, we are trying to integrate the use of carbon nanotubes in our hyperthermia treatment regime. So carbon nanotube was chosen as a modality for this treatment because due to its special characteristic, in which it has a high thermal conductance, high thermal stability, and importantly, it has been reported to have a very low toxicity, which is a border point if you want to pursue this application for clinical trials later. And importantly, it also minimally invasive. So combining CNT with hyperthermia treatment has thought to provide few advantages, including to provide uniform heat distribution, possess high heat retention time, and prevent traumatic damages to the healthy cells, because the procedure is considered as minimally invasive, and it can also maximize the heat conversion energy. Right, so we then proceed with the experiment to see the efficacy of a combined treatment, hyperthermia and CNT. So on your left-hand side here, showing the tumor growth profile of different group receiving different treatment. So the first group here is a control, which received no treatment at all. And this graph here is a group that received CNT only without any hyperthermia. And this one is a tumor-bearing mouse that received hyperthermia only, while the last group here is tumor-bearing mouse that received a combination treatment of CNT and hyperthermia. So from the results, we can see that the combined treatment are able to eradicate the tumor even after 10 days of tumor inoculation, which is this has remarkably improved the efficiency of hyperthermia treatment as compared to when it is being given as a monotherapy, as you can see here. We also wanted to understand the effect of combined treatment in the tumor microenvironment, because we believe that the tumor and microenvironment play a significant role in anti-tumor response. So we harvested the tumor and we analyzed for the infiltration of cytotoxic T cells, helper T cells, regulatory T cells, NK cells, and macrophage. And we can see that there is a significant increase of cytotoxic T cells and helper T cells in a combined group as compared to the hyper treatment HT group as compared to the control. Similar observation was also seen in when we analyze the number of helper T cells, and hang on. And we also see a significant reduction of regulatory T cells in a combined treatment as compared to the control, which is supporting our earlier observation and also showing that the combination treatment induce better anti-tumor response. On top of that, we also, from the side of innate immune cells, we also managed to show that there is an increased number of NK cells and macrophage in combined CNT mediated HT treatment as compared to the control, thus implying that this treatment also activating the innate cells in for anti-tumor response. Right. Okay. So in our study, we have proved that CNT mediated treatment shows significant promises in fighting breast cancer. So since CNTs have remarkable outcomes, we are currently putting our interest, investing our interest in exploiting the CNTs for drug delivery. So our future planning hypothesized that the combination of CNT, the combination of drug-loaded CNT with hyperthermia treatment can further improve the efficiency of results. Plus, at the same time, we are able to reduce the dosage of the drug use because, as you might know, one of the common issue that we have in currently is that the dosage of chemotherapeutic drug alone may cause systemic toxicity to the patient. So one of the approach to reduce the dose of this chemotherapeutic drug is by loading it into a carrier, so making it to be more targeted into the cancer. So altogether, what I could say is that nanoparticle possess potential that we could imagine. So to date, the design of nanoparticles for other treatment modality is currently being investigated and has received a large attention in the research area. I think what I've done while I've done this much for my work, but I know that this may not be the best approach to look at this. So we are going to integrate the use of drugs such as the paclitaxel into our nanoparticles, so to load this drug into the nanoparticles and use it as a combinatorial strategy for hyperthermia treatment. And we wish to also use the anti-CD200 in combination with hyperthermia treatment in order to further improve the anti-tumor response afforded by hyperthermia. Perhaps this is not the best approach to look at this. If there is any people that can share their experiences to fill in the gap, I'm open to any suggestions. I think that's all from me. So I would like to thank to my students. I am very blessed to have a bunch of kids that is very passionate on doing research and contributing to the results that I present in this paper. So, and then I also would like to thank to Dr. Mahesa Irna, is my collaboration from the School of Biomedical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering, UTM. Would also, some of the work has been done in University of Otago, so I would also like to thank to Dr. Marilyn Hipma for her guidance in making sure that the research is sails smoothly. And finally, I would say thank you to the Ministry of Education Malaysia for providing the research grants. Right, so I open to any suggestion because I thought that my work is incomplete, because if I say that science is complete, then that means there is no such thing that the need for another scientist to stand. So the science is complete, but science is never complete. That's why I'm open to any suggestions so that we can learn together, helping each other and move forward in order to solve this, to address this issue in a large scale. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for nice presentation and complete presentation. Very interesting topic, especially about hyperthermia, and your future work also very interesting, especially how to synthesize and how to characterize and how to develop some new material to be used in order to be used for future treatment for cancer. We have 10 minutes, and also we have several questions in this section. The first one, I would like to read a question from Dr. Sri Rahayu Lestari. She has a good question, I think. How is comparison the immune system in animal model and cancer treated the hyperthermia and cancer using chemical therapy? Which one recommended for therapy and which one safe for to be used? It's a good question, I think. Please, you can directly answer this question.
Okay, Dr. Taufik, I'm reading the questions.
Okay. how to compare the immune system in animal model in cancer. Cancer treated the hyperthermia and cancer treated using chemical therapy. Which one is better?
I see. All right. So we know that the chemical therapy is, I think, the question is referring to the chemotherapeutic drug. Yes.
Yes.
So chemotherapeutic drug has been used widely in clinical, but as I mentioned before, this drug has been associated with lots of toxicity effect because it require a large dosage. This is like when, imagine we have to undergo a chemo session. Those the cancer patient has to undergo chemotherapy. So they normally associated with some adverse effects such as loss of hair, loss of appetite, things like that. So we hope that by using this hyperthermia, we could use it as a drug delivery platform. We could reduce the toxicity effect to the patients. So, and we have shown that hyperthermia itself are able to improve the anti-tumor response. Therefore, we are kind of like educating the cells to become more efficient in killing the cancer cells. And I have been reading a lot in the literature because I've been working with this. So hyperthermia is thought to be safe to be used because the procedure itself is very minimally invasive as compared to the surgery that is very invasive and causes trauma and pain.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. The next question is from Miss Alif Rofikotun. Miss Alif, okay, her question is, how many times the therapy using HT will disappear completely? How many times to make cancer cell disappear completely?
All right, thank you, Ali, for this question. So from our work, we did 3 times of hyperthermia therapy for 3 days, for 3 consecutive days, and we managed to see the inhibition. And we managed to see that this treatment are able to eradicate the tumor completely. So I guess 3 times is sufficient for a complete tumor eradication.
Thank you. 3 times, I think is enough, yeah. Okay. The next question is from Dr. Hendra. Okay. He very complete and very difficult question, but this very interesting, I think. You said that hyperthermia can trigger the increase of CD8 plus cell population and infiltration in the tumor site. Also, the hyperthermia inhibit the increased number of tract cell. Could you give us a brief explanation which molecular pathway that most relevant to this phenomenon?
Oh, nice. Very nice questions, Dr. Hendra. I have to share you, if I may, I want to share you the my hang on. I have to share you this. Hang on, give me some minutes. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hendra, for these questions. So we managed to simplify the results that we obtained from our study. So we see that there is an increase of CD8 T cells. CD8 T cells is these guys in green color. So we believe that when we give hyperthermia to the tumor cells, these tumor cells become necrotized or they become stressed. and these stress cells will release the HSP protein. This HSP protein will be uptake by dendritic cells, and dendritic cells will present this antigen to the naive CD8 T cells. Naive CD8 T cells will become activated, and it will go back to the blood circulation and search for the tumor cells that express the same antigen. Okay, so CD8 T cells here plays a major role in killing the tumor cells. It is known as cytotoxic T cells, so therefore it can perform direct killing to the cells, thus contributing to the reduction of tumor proliferation activity. While for the regulatory T cells here, we know that in a tumor microenvironment, normally regulatory T cells are very high in terms of the number. And regulatory T cells under normal states is very good because it can maintain any allergy situation or any hypersensitive reaction. But in a cancer microenvironment, regulatory T cells is not good because it will block the initiation of cytotoxic T cells. Therefore, hyperthermia treatment has shown to reduce the number of regulatory T cells. Thus, this will increase the killing activity of CD8 T cells. All in all, the increased number of CD8 T cells and reduced number of regulatory T cells contribute to the improve of anti-tumor response by hyperthermia treatment. Is it answering your questions, Pak Hendra? I can't hear
Pak
you.
Hendra, you can directly.
Okay. Thank you very much for the chance. I'm sorry to disturb this session actually, because as we know that you have to make a balance between Treg and CD8 positive and also CD4 positive. So that's why a little bit afraid which one is the more dominant pathway to inhibit the cancer cells proliferation. So that's why I'm asking you to make sure that this correctly related to the HSP70, right? Heat
Yes.
shock protein 17. And my last question is still in my mind actually. How about the temperature range? Which one is the preferred one for the treatment? If you want to use the temperature range, do you prefer to kill the cancer cells?
We have tried a few different temperature actually in our initial work. So we tried from the 40 to 41 to 40 to 43. And we managed to see that the best therapeutic outcome was achieved at 43 degrees Celsius. And we've been using that for the subsequent of our work.
Yeah, because we a little bit afraid if we use in the in vivo model or in human, sometimes if we use the overheat treatment, maybe some tissue also get injury and we will get more trouble with that treatment actually. Okay, thank you very much. And how about the metal? Did you do the previous research with the certain metal that can use as the nanomaterial for drug delivery system to kill the cancer cells in your hyperthermia project? Yeah.
We haven't explored that from that aspect much. We are in the middle of like.
So we can start it now. Make a collaboration within us, right?
Of course, yes. I welcome to collaborate with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will return back to Dr.
you.
Taufik.
Thank you very much. Maybe my group also will join with your research, Dr. Nadwa, because also in our group also focus on the research for hyperthermia, especially using magnetic nanoparticle. Okay, thank you very much. I think we can give virtual applause to Dr. Nadwa.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nadwa. Terima kasih. We now should end this section because we should continue to the next keynote speaker. Thank you for all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, maybe this is the last keynote speaker for this parallel session. Now, I will call Professor Muhammad Amin to deliver his speech. But before he deliver his speech, I would like to read maybe some his CV. Professor Muhammad Amin, now he works at Department of Physics, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, State University of Malang. His research interest is genetic and animal biotechnology. He has many publications in international and also proceeding which indexed by Scopus and also Web of Science. His topic now is about early finding of twin genes and SRY gene to support the natural productive efficiency in Indonesia local cattle breeds. We know that he is also he also become visiting professor in UTM Malaysia, Tokyo Institute of Technology Japan, and also he got world class professor maybe 2 years ago. Okay, because we have limited time, now I will give the times for Professor Amin. The time is yours.
Thank you very much for this time and this opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency the Rector of Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Dr. Ahmad Rofiuddin, MBD, Honorable the Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono, MSI, Her Excellency the Chairman Dr. Vivi Novianti, and committee member of the Third International Conference of Life Sciences and Technology 2020, ICOLIST 2020. Distinguished guest speakers, Assistant Professor Dr. Cheng Xiang Eng, National Tsinghua University, Taiwan, Dr. Akare Suksuwan from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand, and also Dr. Hairunatwa bin Zemon from University Technology Malaysia, Malaysia. Good morning, and, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your joining us today. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Amin. I'm lecturer of Universitas Negeri Malang. My main area of interest is genetic and animal biotechnology. In this occasion, I want to share with you all the finding of my research in animal genetic and reproduction. I will show my presentation. As written in the title, early finding of twin and SRY gene to support the natural reproductive efficiency of local cattle breeding in Indonesia. Here I would like to show the possibility of gene detection to improve the local cattle quality. According to Susenas Survey Social Economy Nasional or Survey of National Economy Indonesia in 2019, beef consumption in Indonesia accounted for 2.66 kilogram per year per persons. This is quite a small number compared to the consumption in developed countries. The major cause of this is inadequacy of national food self-production. Thus, the ensure food in Indonesia, the government decided to make the import policy, one of which is the beef of commodity. Here is the tabulation of beef demand, cattle production, and the need of beef import to fulfill the demand. As we see here, the demand always outweighs the production, which requires the government to import both beef and cattle. This data is per May 2020. This is the report of the imported meat in 2 years and the current report in the first half of 2020. Besides, as prescribed in regulation of the Minister of Agriculture number 54 Permentan 2006, another effort to meet the demand of beef is by increasing population, production, and productivity of cattle. Cattle reproduction improvement was initially introduced by Herman 1981 through technology called artificial insemination, aiming to maximally utilize the quality bull potential. Here is the logical framework of the local government of East Java to improve the productivity of meat in order to meet in local demand. East Java is a province in Indonesia that has contributed about more than 20% of supply meat in Indonesia. The increasing national demand of beef in Indonesia and decreased international production effect of demand and supply chain thereby influence the price of meat in farmer and available in the market. Thus, the realization of the regulation was done by importing meat and accelerating the cattle population growth and increases. To solution were made in East Java, for example, by Intan Sejati Plus and Budidaya Sapi Bakalan. This resulted in the increase in the population and production of cattle, which reduce the import and make the price stable. Besides, the advantages are seen, such as the provision of biogas and manure. In addition, the solution also help increase the vacancy and farmer prosperity and the same time reduce the poverty in Indonesia. However, the number of increases is still far below the demand, and continuing import means the local farmer prosperity won't improve significantly. Therefore, we conducted a study to find out the possibility alternative to increase the national reproduction. The purpose was to take the local varieties of cattle which can produce twin offspring detected from the expression of 5 genes as a marker and possess high fertility through SRY genes. In the long term, goal is to create a breeding center which produce high quality calves that have possessing twin SRY genes. These cattle are produced by the natural reproduction between female cows with twin offspring potential and fertile bull with normal testes and growth. Therefore, this research was conducted from May to October 2019 using exploratory experiment approach. The setting was in Bandar Nawangan, Pacitan, East Java, and Molecular Biology Laboratory of Universitas Negeri Malang. These are the location of the cattle of farm, especially for the female. The sample result was blood taken. The sample of the result was the blood sample taken from jugularis vein as much as 6 to 9 millimeter per variety. The sample included about 15 females cattle and 15 bulls, which consist of 5 peranakan unggul, Madura, and Bali variety. The criteria of the sample were co-parents of twin or twins offspring and halter males with the care of up to more than 4 years old and newborn. The procedure of experiment included pre-PCR and also PCR. In the PCR analysis, initially the sample were obtained from the farm. In the pre-PCR process, the sample were taken to laboratory for DNA genome isolation with the standard methods. This process helped to obtain adequate concentration of DNA genome, for the next step. At the same time, the primer for both twin gene and SRV gene were prepared. Especially for SRY gene, we have the next step, that is the sequencing and bioinformatic analysis. Because of the modern technology such as cloning requires high cost and don't give exact result, it is inefficient. Therefore, the more effective and efficient solution lead to natural reproduction between high quality cows and bulls. The first is to determine the twin birthing potential parent which possess 5 twin gene, and then the bull with SRY gene. For the twin gene, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gene, and there are 5 gene contributing to the twin birth. First of all, twinning gene rates with the characters like that, and pregnancy rate genes with characters that, and conception rate gene, and the other gene is birth weight and ovulation rate genes. The primer SRY gene we take from the previous study from Vinaya 2012, and the male sample we taken from Balai Besar Inseminasi Buatan, the Research Center of Artificial Insemination in Singosari, Malang. This slide shows us as a sample from to find of the twin genes. These are varieties of sample. Based on the analysis, we can see that all of sample can express the 5 gene, and we start from birth weight gene. All of sample show us that is positive. The band is clear. Yeah, only the one, but it's also clear because we use the annealing temperature 56 degrees Celsius. And that is the PCR product from sample with a primer conception rates and the same annealing temperature. All of the sample also express these genes. And that is the product PCR product from the primer twinning with the same annealing temperature. And that is SSP1 primer with annealing temperature also 56 Celsius grades. That is the last gene, ovulation rate gene, that also based on this slide, all of sample show us that the PCR product is positive. That means that skin is expression. All samples based on this data, all sample possess all 5 twin genes. We following that, we did an analysis to find out the expression of SRY genes. SRY gene is responsible to determining the male offsprings. Based on Alan et al. 2007, this is control of male selection to improve sperm quality, and without this gene, without the SRY gene, the variety is infertile. This is the pathway of SRY gene. SRY gene can control the expression of testis. This following Hjort and Holster has 2000. That is the PCR product from PO bulls, peranakan ungul bull. We have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sample, and the sample can show us that the gene SRY gene is expressed in the sample from PO bulls. And the next step, we analyze with the sequence of SRY gene, and we can see that there is the variant of sequence in the upstream and downstream. The sequencing result we then confirm in the NCBI web server basic local alignment search tool or BLAST program. The BLAST result indicate that the sample sequences were identical to SRY gene sequence on both Taurus on gene bank with accession number is that. With homology level about 99.48%. The result of BLAST is shown in this feature. And the next step, we analyze with the protein. Then the protein show us also in upstream and downstream variant. The next slide is the PCR product from Madura bulls. We have 4 samples. Sorry, this gene SRY gene also expressed is in the sample. And Bali bulls also, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sample, and all sample can express the SRY gene. That means all sample Peranakan Ungul, Madura, and Bali can express normal SRY expression. That is the sequencing like before. We try to analyze what is the means of the sequence, and then we make a BLAST, and then alignment for the protein, amino acid. And that is the alignment of the sequence. And we based on the analysis of bioinformatics analysis, this protein is from the different frame but made of the same amino acids. The form protein is activator protein 2. The sequence is like that. Protein activator 2 are family of transcription factors. That is following William and Chen 1991, and William and Chen and also in 1991, which have an important role in regulating gene expression during early development. AP2 is specific DNA sequence binding protein that is expressed in natural crest and regulatory by retino acid. This protein are controlled at the level of their own gene expression and can also be upregulated after translation. We find also AP1 protein, activator protein 1, is one of transcription factor present in mammal and has a function and regulation cell life and wide scale, including processes of proliferation, apoptosis, defense, and differentiation. AP1 activity is induced also by growth factor, cytokines, neurotransmitter, polypeptide, hormone, and various physical and chemical stressor. We go to the conclusion, referring to the data of the twin NSRY genes. This initial research detected that the varieties of potential twin parent and fertile bulls. However, it still need to be continued to detect the gene function, and then in the long term, it becomes one of the strategies for making superior calf that give birth to twins, and as one way of natural reproduction efficiency program, which then will gradually meet the national meat demand.
We cannot hear your voice and your session. Hello, hello. Hello, Prof. Amin. We cannot see your presentation and also your voice.
I'm sorry, I have a problem with my audio. That's why I can not speak directly.
Okay, it is your sound is good now. Please. Excuse me, Prof. Amin. We can hear your voice now. We can hear again.
Okay.
I think something trouble with your audio tools.
Excuse me, Prof. Amin, maybe you can unmute the video so we can hear again. Thank you. Maybe you can unmute the microphone in the down below.
Take problem audio.
Taufik, I have problem with in my computer. There is a sign your speaker is not working. Please check your connection or use a different speaker. What do you? What should I do?
Is okay, Prof. Amin. For now, is running well.
No. It's problem. You can hear.
Yes, we can hear your voice clearly.
Now it's okay. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
May Prof. Amin go on
Hello.
the presentation.
It's okay. You can hear my. Okay.
I can hear clearly, Prof. Amin.
Okay. Thank you, and I'm sorry. Because there's a problem, small problem in my computer.
It's okay.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Taufik. You can repeat.
Okay, you can continue. Maybe you have less than 10 minutes to finish your presentation.
Okay. Yeah. I think my presentation is enough that we can direct to answer and question. Maybe there is some question or suggestion. I hope we can get a suggestion from all participants. Maybe because this research is the initial research or the early finding. That's why we hope that we can have more suggestion that we can for the future research we can make the together guidance. Okay,
nice presentations. Although we have small noise, small problem, but it is not problem for us because your voice now and your presentation now is also very clear. Okay, the first question, I think. So far, according to your latest work, how you can guarantee that your proposed gene can be used as the primary target to improve the quality of cattle or cow in the future consumer supply? We know that in Indonesia, especially now, we still import product. How your works will solve this issue?
Okay, that's why I present this my idea. That's my idea is the natural reproductive efficiency. That's mean we have the same time for help the maintains the cattle or bulls, but the cattle, the female cattle should have the twin genes. That's why when the cattle have the twin gene and then fertilized by the male cattle, they can produce a double. And the same times, we can get two times the production. That is the advantage. Why until now we still import? Yeah, I hope that my idea can receive by the regulation in our government. For example, especially in Ministry of Agriculture. That's why we hope that we can work together. So the preliminary research about this idea, we can together reduce the import beef for Indonesian government. That is my main goal. We want to suggest for especially for the Indonesia government, for Minister of Agriculture, they should be have what is this? Yeah, research center or what is this? Yeah. Pusat pembibitan, what is this?
the high quality cattle and center for high quality cattle, that this cattle have two gene. Gene from female is twin genes, and from male is SRY genes. Why the both gene is important? So like I explained in my presentation, that this gene have more advantages than the normal cattle. That is Pak Taufik.
Maybe the last question is how the bioinformatics can give what is that precious or what is that the bioinformatics can give
help
your not only help but also can make a guarantee scientifically of your research.
Okay. Before we analyze with bioinformatics tool, we check before with the data gene bank in NCBI. After data is fixed, we can next step with bioinformatics. That's why before bioinformatics, we check through NCBI or gene bank. That's why we can predict with the what is this? What is the fixed data? And bioinformatics actually as a tool for the prediction, and because we cannot know what is actually the pathway of the gene, but with the bioinformatics we can predict and helpful from this tool. That's why bioinformatics actually not only guarantee, but they can help as a guidance what we should in the research and in the right school. That is Pak Taufik.
Okay, thank you very much for a nice presentation, Prof. Amin. Because we have limited time, now the time is over. So we should finish our section now. But before we finish, we end our section now, that we all to give applause for Prof. Amin. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We should end this section. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will give time for Mr. Moderators. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taufik. We have a meme. Thanks to all keynote speakers and moderator. It was an amazing presentation and discussion. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, now we are about to have lunch and break time. But before that, please listen my information, and I would like to remind, please kindly join the parallel room according to list that has been announced by the committee and the rundown book, and please join the group after this. So our committees will be prepare the breakout rooms, and the oral presentation can joining the rooms. So that, and I want to remind again, please each participant should use Zoom username based on room code on the parallel session that has been announced on abstract book with the format class code underscore number underscore name, so that the committee will easier to divide you into room per rooms. And for the information about the poster, can check in the link that sent it to you via chat box and WhatsApp group. So for the poster, can stay here in the main room, but for the oral presentation, can joining the breakout rooms. So just click the join room, the breakout room, and you can have the lunch time and the break time up to 12:30. And I will be remind before 15 minutes before 12:30 must be the good preparation to the parallel session. Okay, well, our committee will be prepare the breakout room. So please pay attention to joining the breakout rooms. Please join. Who's the poster? Just stay in the main room and keep it a discussion in the chat box. And don't forget the parallel session will be held on at 12:30, but before 12:30 must be prepared for the presentation in the parallel session. Thank you. Okay, during parallel session, all presenters, moderator, and host should use official event background that's sent by committee, and the moderator and host will explain and delivers the procedure for presentation. Okay, in this conference, there's a special presence and special award for the best poster and the best presenter. So do the best in the parallel session. Thank you.